at least 5 minutes ago, I said, I'm here, I can participate verbally, let's get going.
Yeah, but you can't participate verbally because there's shit that you need to be able to see. Not to mention, like, attention.
So we did a short rest. Did everyone get their health up?
Yeah, I overdid it.
Mine's almost at maximum. I've got a couple of hit dice left. I didn't want to bother using it for 1 hit point.
Yeah. Oh, you have to take another rest anyway, wouldn't you?
Oh yeah.
You can't. Yeah.
No,
I'm pretty sure you
go
can't
back
just
to this.
choose. You can't do 2 and then add 1 and then add 1 and then add 1,
You
right?
have to do them all at once.
Yeah.
So that's fine. My spell slots are not as bad as they could be. It's not amazing though.
I'm pretty
I'm
much
close enough to be happy.
entirely good to go. I think I've only used 1 of my level 1 spell slots.
Unless we have like a 3-hour battle, I think I'll be alright.
Yeah.
Oh,
I did use
I joke.
I did use all my lay on hands though, so there is that.
Alright, well I still have healing words.
Yeah.
And cure wounds, actually.
Alright, well,
Okay,
waiting on you
do we
guys
now
then.
have your permission to start?
Well, I was waiting on you guys to start for a while, so yes. By all means. Just go ahead and like move your tokens, and I'll narrate.
Well, first off, what can we see below? Surely I have sight going this way. So what more can I see? Is it dark in here? Is it light?
It is pretty dark in here. Like, there's just a teeny bit of light, like from like crystals, sort of in the ceiling.
Or how about with superior dark vision?
Well, that's yeah. Basically, your character has superior dark vision inbuilt into your character, like the amount of light that you.
Oh, really? So if
Oh
I
wow,
wasn't,
okay.
if I was over here, they wouldn't be able to see anything. Oops, sorry.
You're away, sir.
Okay. Right. I'm gonna start moving over the bridge to about say here.
Okay. Alright, so you notice, that basically just as there was a marketplace on the other side of the bridge, there's a marketplace on this side of the bridge. Like you start running into the first few buildings.
Market, you said?
Yeah, market. And basically this is the west part of the trench. And much like on the other side, there's a cluster of tents, stores, and various pens that look like they're just regular merchant sort of marketplace buildings.
Are the people still there?
No, in fact, while there's still the pennants and the signs and tarps and all that bearing Drow and Zentirum signs, as opposed to the Deep Gnome and Duergar signs on the other side of the trench. Aside from those signs, everything's pretty empty. Everything's kind of left in a seemingly haphazard yet barren state.
So
presumably
what faction was it
evacuated.
again?
So on this side of the trench was the Drow. Like you recognize like Elven writing,
Yep.
Elven sort of sigils, and like the mark of the Zentirum, like their logo, and that's just sort of like stitched into the side of tents and stuff like that. And there's like wooden signs lying, well, sort of like attached to the side of tents and stuff like that. It's got these symbols on it.
Okay.
Sorry, side note. Rian, is it possible for you to just have rolled off instead of rolled off Gotham or R or something, or just so the name isn't covering up everything? Or is that just a token thing you can do?
You can edit the token name, yeah.
I'll just change mine to V as well. Everyone knows each other's name anyway, so.
Yeah.
Actually, I have names at all. I know the black guy with the grey hair is me.
That's true.
Makes sense.
That is true. Right, so, can I see if there's like you said it was, did you say it was mostly abandoned or wasn't?
Yeah, it was basically as barren as, at least from where you can see, like where you are now.
Can I
like
have a better look around to see if there's anyone like either wounded or someone that's gotten away, or one of the Duergar fallen, or
You
Deep
can
mines.
take a perception test from where you are there, or you can move up. Either way.
Um, yeah, I'd like to move up quietly if I could to about here.
All right, we'll make a stealth roll.
Got it on disadvantage.
I'll just take the first one. Which is the 3 anyway.
Oh, well, they're both 3? Okay.
No. Well, I was gonna, because you get 3
Yeah.
rolls, right? So you get 2 rolls. So the first roll was 3, and then the second one was 11, and it took the worst of the 2, which was the first one, which is 3.
Hang on. What? Oh, I
If
see.
you mouse over it, you see
Yeah,
how 3
gotcha,
plus
gotcha.
11.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
with
yeah.
you. It's okay. Perception. Fucking
Um,
hell. Take that disadvantage off.
19 for that one. Okay, easy. All right. So you take a few steps forward, kind of a bit carefully, and you sort of peer into this somewhat more organized mass of tents and such, and you kind of spot just sort of behind another tent. You spot a deep gnome hiding in somewhat plain sight under the wreckage of a Zerkwood timber stall, clutching a pale leather bag, and he's got it tucked into one arm as he kind of lies underneath this wrecked timber stall, and he kind of like lies in a sort of a ball like fetal position.
Like,
Uh,
down here?
yep, and with his other arm, he's sort of holding it above his head, like covered in debris from the stall above him.
Does he notice me?
No, no, he's sort of like just crawled up into a ball underneath the stall.
I'll walk up slowly towards him.
Yeah, and he continues to not really notice you until you get a few meters away.
Hey there, easy.
Alright, so he's evidently surprised. He kind of like spasms and then like smacks his head on the top of the store.
Easy, I'm a deep gnome, see? Just like you.
Ow. And he kind of slowly extricates himself, still clutching his bag. Greetings. Who are you?
Look, I'm sorry to give you a start. I'm Vorlin, and these are my friends behind me. That's Rodolph and Maniac. We're here on your behalf. We're here to actually try and help you bring back your leader, perhaps. It's a long story. Listen, there's been a skirmish on the other side that you probably know about. Do you need an escort back to there, or can you find on your own? It's pretty much safe from the bridge onwards.
There might have been a bit of mistake. I am, of course, a deep gnome, but I don't come from Blingtonstone, or in fact,
Racial profiling, yes.
I may have some information that is useful to you, to us.
Of course, yes. Does that have anything to do with that red leather bag that you're clutching?
No, it's, my valuables. The Duragar, of course, they like to loot when they kill.
Yes, of course.
So,
Yes,
what kind of valuables you got?
that's a bit rude to ask.
We are more
Just-
interested in your information. I believe Rodolph is doing a joke, as it were.
Whoa. No.
Not as important, Rodolph.
I mean, we're kind of searching for stolen property. Everybody's a suspect.
I'm a tailor. It's my life's work. But listen, I'm here to investigate rumors that a beholder may be living secretly right here in Mantle Dareth. Although it seems that my investigation has moved too slowly.
Do I know what beholder is? Sorry.
I roll a history check, I guess. They're pretty well known. Like you'd be pretty unlucky to not know. Okay. Well,
Can I try and find out? See if I remember what a beholder is?
Sure thing.
Well, I would pretty much know what one is because, like, we. Oh wait, no shit.
That was a spectator.
Yeah, but
Well, unless you roll a 1, I was gonna give
I'm
it to you
pretty sure
anyway.
Colin would know what one is, but because I rolled a 1, if I hadn't done... oh well.
A boulder. I've never heard of one of those before.
Obviously, you're welcome to ask your fellow comrades, but you know.
That's curious, but before we move on, I must ask you, do you know anything about a black gem? I'm gonna watch his face for his response.
No. Why do you
Insight
ask?
check.
By all means. So, Mr. Ben, Beholder is a very classic creature from D&D. Basically, it comes from a different realm. It is one of these things.
Yep,
Oops.
disregard that.
Just jump into the trench.
Rolled off, just starts doing cartwheels.
Beholders are known as very intelligent, sort of summoned creatures. They're kind of known for being paranoid, but very powerful. They tend to make lairs that have loads of traps and like escape routes, and they fill it full of, gelatinous cubes and slimes and other creatures to serve as sort of defenses. They're basically responsible for many of the like classical dungeons per se, because they'll set up these dungeons, and hoard their valuables, their loot, their whatever resources that they think that they need to survive, and then they assume that everyone's going to try and come and kill them, and since they live pretty much forever unless killed, eventually that happens.
So they set themselves up to be killed.
Well, they set themselves up to defend themselves against being killed, but then eventually, someone's gonna run into them, or someone's gonna be like, "Hey, that's a dungeon," or like, "That's a beholder lair," or there's got to be something good in there. Let's explore, and then they're like, "Oh, beholder." But beholders are pretty powerful. Pretty famously, there is a beholder, a legend about a beholder called Xanthana, and rumor has it that he holds a position of some power in one of the sort of criminal gangs in Waterdeep. So there is that.
Do beholders have like psionic powers or?
Sort of, insofar as their eyes, if basically they can shoot like laser beams out of their eyes, and they can sort of cast like confusion and paralyzation spells out of their eyes. But you don't really know any more than that.
Okay.
It's a 19 on the insight, by the way.
Yeah. So he's clearly like very rattled even before you asked the question. And he's still very rattled now that you've asked the question. You get the idea that his confusion is genuine, however.
Okay, so he's telling the truth. Fair enough.
That's your interpretation.
Well, I assume so. If he's rattled, I feel like it's going to be difficult for him to prepare to lie about that on just a quick sort of question. So that's what I'm taking away from it anyway.
It's not a definite by any means, but it's pretty confident.
A 19 insight. So.
Yeah, you're like 90% sure.
I just crashed.
So did I actually.
10 out of 10.
Shit, I just blanked on what he was talking about. Beholder.
Would I know if beholders like would be interested in a gem? Like, are they like known as like treasure collectors or like?
You know that. Okay, you know that generally speaking, in beholder layers. There's like sort of how do I put it? If you saw a castle of humans, you might assume that they have a treasury. So there is that association, castle, treasury.
Yeah.
But that's kind of a tenuous link for you. You
Yeah.
don't know for sure whether beholders have any particular interest in certain types of treasure or just treasure that is otherwise useless, or like, whether it's magical treasure or mundane treasure or
Yeah.
whatever.
Right. Yeah.
Actually, that's a really good point. Would I know if this particular gem that they're describing would be used for one single, very powerful spell? Is that something that would be in my knowledge?
Go ahead and roll an arcana rather. So you know that you can make spell gems. I mean, you're very familiar with that. Um, However, the description for the gem doesn't quite match some of the more powerful spell gems.
Right.
And in terms of like very powerful spell gems, they would be pretty legendarily rare. And even then, like the maximum generally speaking, would be like a ninth level wizard spell. So not anything more powerful than a very accomplished wizard can cast, in one go. Obviously, exceptions and legends of exceptions exist, but generally speaking, a regular spell gem, which is what you're familiar with, kind of top out at like the whatever the human limit is. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Hmm.
Okay. That makes sense.
On that note, we actually should try and get some gems when we can for some identification business, but that's a side note.
Tell me, what were you doing here when you started hiding and curling up into a ball?
I was just getting some lunch. He kind of scratches his head, kind of awkwardly, and then he sort of roughly with his shoulder indicates the store behind him, and you can sort of make out from the wreckage of the store like a very crudely carved like picture of like fungus and like meat on a stick.
So, who did this?
Well, the Durga, but that's where I think the beholder comes into it. Why else would they shatter the piece so quickly, so recklessly? Only the the nudgings of a beholder could cause such reckless change
Who,
in allegiance.
who owned this store?
This stall in particular, I don't know, some Zentirum profiteer, nota, is it?
Interesting. The Duragar we talked to only had a grudge with the Deep Gnomes.
Oh, well, kind of scratches his hair a bit. Well, there was certainly rampaging through here as well. They were ransacking all of the stalls.
Did you see what happened to the Zentirum and the Drow?
Well, as soon as the Durga started to loot the place, that's what I assumed they were doing. Most of them all ran with their valuables.
Why did you stay?
I didn't have anywhere to run.
Tell us more about what you know of this beholder.
Well, I only really just began my investigation. A day ago, I suspect that it's either in the Zentirum or the Drow enclaves. I've already sort of scouted out the other ones just through asking and peeking through the doors and some such. I don't think that there are any boulders in either of those enclaves, but I implore you, if you want to stop this madness, perhaps you should take me to the Drow enclave. Maybe I will tell you more about what's happening here. Although perhaps it may be more prudent to deal with the immediate situation around us first, yet less close slain by more mundane enemies.
You don't want to go to the Deep Known Enclave?
Well, I I don't see why not. It's probably safer there. They weren't trying to kill everyone,
I'd say so, yes.
but
Perhaps you go there, we deal with this thing, and then we come get you and check out the Strow Enclave. Sound good?
I suppose. I, okay.
Just,
Where did you say you checked for the Beholder again?
At the Deep Gnome Enclave and the Duragar one.
Then what? But then you think that the Duergar are being manipulated by the Beholder?
Oh yes, it would be right in the paranoid style of the Beholder to manipulate a different enclave while taking refuge in a different one.
So, how long after your visit to the Duragar enclave did the violence begin?
I visited them yesterday. I plan to visit the Zentirum and Drow enclaves today.
How did you find out about the Beholder in the first place? They're sneaky individuals.
Yes, undoubtedly, but you know sometimes what questions to ask for if you've done your research correctly. They're
Now,
hard to miss.
So you're a hunter?
Well, more of a historian, investigator. Mere curious about them as well.
now, my dear sir, don't take this the wrong way, but would you be horribly opposed to the idea of us seeing the contents of your bag? We don't want to take anything. I'm just thorough.
He kind of clutches his bag to his chest. That's personal items. Why are you interested?
Well, you see, the Juraga claim that the entire reason behind their violence is because a very valuable item was stolen from their enclave. Considering that you recently visited their enclave, that, well, that's a tangible link to the area of a crime that we are investigating. A simple way to alleviate some suspicion on you would to be allow us to search your possessions.
And have you searched everyone that you've come across today?
Well, as a matter of fact, yes.
Can you give me a deception? Because you haven't strip searched everywhere.
We fucking looted the fuck out of the corpses we killed,
Yeah,
which are
but
the only other people
all
we've
of-
encountered.
We didn't
Like,
check
all
the
of the-
deep gnomes.
all of the deep gnomes that you've met and spoken to.
Even the body of the deep gnome we
yeah,
didn't check.
yeah, okay, that's fair enough.
And we did ask this guy already, and it doesn't appear to be lying.
But it is a good point. He did just come from the Duergar Enclave.
Day before, just FYI. I guess it wasn't clear, sorry.
Something could be missing for that long, I guess. I don't know. Depends on how often it's checked.
That's my role.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Yeah, he kind of squints his eyes. I don't believe you. My valuables are my own personal business. You? No.
I understand
Something
that.
sounds suspicious. Maybe you're with the Beholder. He kind of takes a couple steps back.
Oh, I assure you, we only just arrived here, not an hour ago. We were on our way to meet with the Zentrum leadership when we encountered the Duragar rampaging and interceded to save the deep gnomes. across the bridge there.
Surely, being the very capable investigator you are, you would know that we were not in the town before, just now. You've been here for how long now?
No more than a day.
Just, I feel like someone that comes outright to give us information about a danger is hardly the sort of person that's going to instantly hide something on like the drop of a coin, something like that. You know, just instantly starts deceiving and giving us information about something that can kill us. Just realistically, I don't think he's got the gem. I think that's pretty plain as day. But I could be wrong, but I don't think I am.
Yeah, well, it's entirely a matter of perspective. Like, you can say, oh, he's just protecting his possessions, but to me, and especially to Rodolph, like someone like clutching a bag like that, being like that sort of like
Well, you didn't do any
Ro-
inside
ro-
checks either. We didn't do one when he was like scratching his head saying about how he's eating lunch. That was probably worth it inside check, but people were talking, so I didn't really bother. And the other thing as well, so I don't know. Unless he rolled like pretty high on his deception, I don't really see that happening.
well, it's also just somewhat just like
At this point, you're gonna have to sort of aggressively search him, which I don't think is a good idea.
They're both in on it.
the deep known conspiracy.
I know, deep moans.
It's a known conspiracy. Okay. Well,
We can leave it, I guess. Up to you, Rodolph.
I just want to know what he has.
We don't need to know everything. Also, as soon as he saw me, he could have just run the fuck off as well. Like, if he had something that valuable, and then worried about that, then he would just, like, try and book it. Not try and talk his way out of it. Which he's not done at all. He doesn't seem guarded in his conversation. He seems scared. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Alrighty.
It's probably better we befriend him than to try and put him on his bad side.
So, like I was explaining, me and Marnak were explaining, we've only been in town for an hour or so. I suppose it could be possible that the beholder could, yeah, I don't know if it was particularly powerful, maybe pervert us in that shorter time, but
Maybe that you are agents lying in wait?
possible, but unlikely.
Do we have any identification, actually?
No.
What, are we given any by, like, the Dwarven City people? I've forgotten what they're called, but...
Not particular.
So we probably should have got something like that, eh? Just like either a badge or something.
I mean, you kind of have the identification of an entire warband of like,
That are
you
kind
know,
of
faction
behind
dudes.
a rock, maybe about 200 feet back. Super helpful right now. And we teleported the one person away that could say who we are, but yeah.
Oh, well, who's gonna believe him too, though? Like,
True.
Like, a Zentirum person would probably believe Nero, but like, this guy's not Zentirum, so he claims.
yeah, and everyone doesn't trust Zentirum, so.
We don't have a letter or anything, or.
Nope. I got it. So, look, let's level with you just real quick. We're from the surface. We're part of an expedition into the Underdark to deal with a bit of a potential demon infestation. A beholder who's up to no good would probably fall within our purview of dealing with. Fortunately, part of the ruckus with the Duragar, the the entrance that we were using to get our caravan into the city, there was a bit of a cave-in, but you know, I'm sure once that cave-in's dealt with, we can assure you of our uh integrity as friends and allies. Maybe until then, we can escort you back to the deep known enclave, like my friend Vorlin here said. And then once we've dealt with the rampaging Duragar, perhaps things will be a little bit more peaceful for us to help you investigate the Zentirum and the Drow.
That that sounds like a good idea.
Hmm. Alrighty then. Well,
Kind of like
let's.
eyes you warily, but yeah, nods slowly.
Can we just point
Let-
them in the direction and say who sent them? So we
I'd
don't have to go all
like.
the way back into do all their introductions. And say, this is this person, blah 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 blah. Someone go to the gates and mention us, and we can keep on moving on.
Well, we can like streamline it if you want. Basically, all I would want to do is go with him to the gate, knock on the gate, be like, "Yo, rolled off. Yo, this guy was like out in the middle of nowhere. Look after him," and then very low key be like, "Don't let him leave."
Okay. Well, if you want to streamline it, then you managed to succeed. Madam Drip Skillet answers the door as before. And she kind of looks a bit like wide-eyed, a bit sort of surprised slash shocked when you say that. She kind of gives like a weak nod and a confused kind of look. And then I suppose you rejoin the crew.
Yeah, pretty much.
Basically, what it comes down to, like, is especially because Roldorf, like, he's very like free with all this stuff. Like, he doesn't care. So, like, to him, someone like it doesn't matter if he's done an insight check or anything. That's just naturally to him. That's very like he wants to know. He wants to know. Like even if it turns out being nothing, like even if it ends up being a bag full of like thread, he still wants to know. You know, that's just him.
I mean, but it's not logical trying to search every single person that has some sort of satchel or whatever just because we're looking for a certain thing. We didn't do that in the past, so why would we do it now? Like you see every crate, are you gonna search that? Sort of thing?
Well,
Every little bag of fruit, you're gonna search that as well?
I'm trying to explain that like the act of him like being so
I get
defensive
that.
of his things, like that's so unless we encounter everybody who's like clutching onto their satchels, being all like, "No, these are my possessions," like
Hmm.
Hmm.
anyway, so I suppose we want to continue on one of the enclaves on this side of the thing, and
Is there anything of use where we are in this market? Like this, no one around. What can we steal? That's what I'm asking.
Alright,
Can we use? What thing?
give me a perception.
Perception.
Yeah, perception.
Hang on, I need to bring out my sheet again. It keeps
Perception.
crashing. It's really annoying. Must have had an update recently. Normal. Yeah.
So you take a sort of a poke around. Pretty much the place looks like it's been evacuated, like it's pretty stripped down to the bone. The most you find is some sort of like dashed barrels of like fungus and all that that have been like trotted into the ground, and that's about it really.
So you're saying they were running for their life, but they managed to pack up all their stalls and take everything with them. Okay.
They got looted too, though.
Bastards. Very efficient.
Well, yeah, they got looted as well.
Alright. So, what... If I go to here where the bridge is, can I... What's on the other side? Is that just more of the market down here? Side of the river?
No,
So it's a
no.
river that's running right here, is there?
Actually, yes. Hang on, 1 minute. We only got 3 numbers. Yeah, so there's a pool sort of east of the market, like basically that river, and you know there's sort of cracks in the ceiling, and the northern wall, that sort of pour out water and it accumulates into the stream. and there's water orbs growing along the bank. Water orbs, you would know, are like a type of fungus that grow like along the bank of water flow. And that's pretty much what you see there. The water looks pretty brackish, mind you. Like it doesn't look fit for consumption. It kind of froths up a bit.
Smell?
You want to give me a perception?
What? Oh, I just thought, just passive, sort of, what do I smell?
Yeah,
Good,
so
sort of thing.
essentially it smells like, can't quite put your finger on it, but sort of like rotten fungus and just sort of a bit putrid in general.
Okay.
And that's all you can see from sort of that angle in particular.
Does anyone else want to do anything?
I don't know, any like obvious dead bodies or like sign of like actual fighting?
Hmm.
You don't spot any actual bodies on this side of the river, no. That's, yeah.
Do we know the directions to each of the other enclaves?
So you know the Duragas at the bottom right of the map.
Okay. So it looks like we're going away from Duragar at the moment.
Do you reckon that'd be
Yeah,
a bridge
well,
further
kind of the idea, or at least my thought, which given we're going this way, I thought everybody had agreed to, was we go and try and speak to like the Zentium first and see, like, get their take on what's going on, because it's like their city, so.
Hmm.
We could also mention about how our guys are trapped at the moment. Might be able to help them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's probably a decent idea. I'm sure it would be the better place to go. Did we have a there was like a spy down here, wasn't there? Was that this city?
Don't know. I'm gonna move across the bridge though.
Okay. So just sort of in the distance, at the edge of your sight, you can sort of start seeing a fungal grove. What you suspect is a fungal grove. I guess sort of similar to the Deep Gnome one. And as you're kind of like peering around in the darkness, past the stalagmites and all that, you hear this sort of high-pitched sound that gets louder until you can resolve it as a as a vocal. Help! Help! You sort of turn around and one moment, let me scroll down. Yeah, so you turn towards the sound, and a deep gnome, just like massively disheveled in the extreme, sort of like just covered in random dirt and like pieces of fungi and just clothes like flying all over the place. Is just sprinting towards you, arms flung up high in the air, expression just pure panic.
Wait, easy.
Oh my god, Yenta's gonna kill me! I lost the gem! I lost the gem! And the gargoyle! The gargoyle and everyone's gonna kill each other! But I don't have the gem and I don't know where it is! Oh my god, where's Yenta? Oh, stones below the trouble, Yenta's gonna kill me!
Calm down. You're
he just
alright.
continues in the same way.
We'll help you find Yentha.
He just keeps rambling. He's fucking going off his skull. He goes from like one person to the next and starts like shaking your robes and stuff.
He needs a good slap in the face.
Alright, deploy slap.
How do I do? Do you want to roll or anything?
Yeah, give me a charisma to see if you can gauge the correct depth of slap.
What's your strength?
Nice. All right. Yeah. So you give him a solid slap, and especially given the relative difference in size, Uh, he kind of, rocks to one side for a moment, kind of like blinks. He's just like stopped cold for a moment. And he kind of takes a deep breath, steadies himself. Ow!
Freaking out ain't gonna help us at all. Oh my god, it's like a child.
Alrighty, little buddy. Hello, I'm Rodolph. This is Volin. That's Maniac.
I'm the guy that slapped you.
You might remember me from such slaps as just now.
My name is Flink. Flink Thunderbonk.
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 Let me just cut
Thunderbomb.
straight to the chase.
Thunderbomb.
We understand it correctly that you were in possession of perhaps a black gemstone for Yantha.
Yeah, you gotta hear me out. A big Duragar. I think he's their ale merchant. He asked my mistress to appraise this huge black gemstone he had. It was a curious stone, sure enough, but Yantha didn't want to give it back, even though she said it was worthless. But then she offered him a big lump of gold in exchange for this worthless stone, but he didn't want to take the gold, and she didn't want to give the gem back. And then they started arguing really loud, and she kind of signaled that I should take the gem, so I did. But then when I went to the Drow Enclave to buy an eyelash encased in gum so that she could cast invisibility, a gargoyle snatched the gem from me. So I came here to find it, but the one that stole the gem isn't here. But this is where all the gargoyles protect the Drow encampment, and now Yanta's gonna kill me for losing her gem.
So the gargoyles protect the Drow encampment?
Yeah. She kind of like points off to the west.
Rodolph just kind of like looks at Volin and Maniac and goes, "Fucking Drows."
Fucking
I,
Drows.
I swear to
So-
God.
So I
Have
know
you
it's
got-
probably a foregone conclusion, but what did the gem look like?
Basically, he describes the gem exactly as you heard it before. Big, large,
okay.
black, kind of smoky color.
Alrighty, look, it should be safe to go back to the Deep Gnome Enclave. Don't tell anybody there about the gem. Don't tell anybody there about Yantha. We'll get the gemstone back. We'll get Yantha back. Just don't worry about it. Everything will be fine.
You wanna give me a sweet persuasion?
Nice.
Solid. It kind of like looks taken aback. Oh my God, Yanta's gonna kill me, but
I'm going to kill you.
oh.
Was Yantha acting strangely?
Well, the last time I saw her was in the store. Like I said, it was strange that she said that the gem was worthless, but then she offered a whole bunch of gold, and then she signaled that I should take the gem. But I mean, aside from buying the eyelash encased in gum, which is obvious, I didn't know what else to do.
Did you get the eyelash?
No, everything started going to hell.
Where did Yantha get the gem from? Do you know?
The Duragar ale merchant brought it in. That's the person that she was buying it from. But he didn't want to sell it.
So she took it.
Well, yeah. She kind of told me to take it.
She told you to take it?
Well,
So-
she didn't tell me to take it. She just got it yesterday. I should take it.
While this is going on, by the way, I'm just gonna open up my component pouch and just pull out a single eyelash covered in gum and just like give it to the Deep Gnome.
Kind of just like, this would have come in handy.
Look, everything's gonna be fine. Is there anything else that perhaps you haven't thought of other than the gargoyle and Yantha and the gem?
There was a funny-looking drow sitting underneath that big old mushroom they have. He was just kind of sitting there, looking at the entrance. I had to try and sneak around him looking for the gargoyle, but he just kept sitting there. I swear he even saw me for a minute there.
Right.
Where? When was this?
Oh, maybe 15 minutes ago?
And can I ask like the direction where that guy was?
He just jabs towards the west in the same direction as like where he pointed the drow encampment to be.
How was he a funny looking drow? What made him different from all the regular drow?
He had these crazy scars down one side.
Of his face or his entire body?
Well, I only saw his hand and his face, but they're both scarred the same way on one side.
Like a burn or like a cut?
I guess, like a burn.
User in your channel timed out.
Nice.
Bye bye.
Might be a good chance to take a break.
Pretty early break.
If you want.
Yeah, we start at 6, so yeah, I don't know.
Well, because especially if Ben's having internet problems, it's hard. Like, who knows how long he's gonna be, sort of thing.
Should we message him maybe then?
Yeah.
Probably at least Facebook message. You still get it on Signal, 3G, whatever.
User entered your channel.
Oh, there we go.
Hey,
Crisis
sorry, don't know
averted.
what happened there, but yeah,
Pulled the
my
cable.
hotspot just died.
Uh,
It's back up.
Yeah.
Alright, so where were we? Funny looking drow.
Yeah. So he had burns down one side.
Okay. You haven't seen anyone in red around recently, have you? Like a wizard?
Some of the Zentirum wear red. Maybe they're wizards.
Alright, never mind. I will not give this up. I hate that fucking guy.
Okay. Now you run along to the Deep Dome Enclave, and remember, don't tell anybody there about the gem. Don't tell anybody there about the gargoyle. Don't tell anybody there about Yantha. Just
what?
He kind of starts to like slog off in that direction and just kind of head held down and just.
Oh, yeah, they're scared to kill me.
Probably.
Kind of just stomps
Gonna-
off in that direction.
He's literally gonna tell everybody at the Enclave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How come you don't
So
want
alright,
them to know?
Yenta can't kill you if she's already dead.
Well, because if there's like this gemstone that everybody's after, and like just missing somewhere in the city, like we don't want everybody looking for it.
Hmm. So he took it from some merchant?
Sounds like the leader of the Juragar like took it to get appraised, and then Yantha was like, this is mine now."
Yeah, pretty much.
Hmm.
So she did steal it.
Alrighty, so when he indicated the Drow Enclave, was he pointing up this way or over
More to the left.
this way?
Yeah, in that the second ping, more or less. Sort of.
Alrighty,
Sort of
so-
in between, actually.
Let's go up here, because if the Drow Enclave is down, then the one up should theoretically be the Zentirum Enclave. So let's go
Do
say
we-
hello to them and be all
Do
like,
we want to
"Yo."
go and check out this burn guy, see if he's still there?
Well,
we might-
he was at the entrance to the Drow Enclave.
Yeah. Yes, we want to go see what he's seen before we head off, because he might pack up shop if we head up to the Zentirum.
I mean, I guess I think it's more likely that the Drow is gonna stay near the Drow Enclave.
Yeah, so So could we head that way?
Yeah,
Or do we want
Sure.
to just go to the Zentirum one?
I'm happy to go visit the Drow first. I
Okay.
just kind of, I don't know, like, me as a player and Roldorf as a character just naturally assumes Drow mean trouble. Like, because the entire thing that brought Roldorf to the Underdark initially was that Drow, like, basically enslaved him and his friends and we're going to take them to be sacrificed to their spider god or some crap like that. So it's
okay. It's not good.
10 out of 10.
yeah. So I'm happy to go visit the drow first, but
We have to trust him. I just think we should check out this burned guy. He sounded like he saw a lot at least, and he was even more interested in something else. Which is weird if there was like a riot going on. He wasn't even paying attention to it.
yeah. Well, let's head towards the drow enclave then.
Alright, well, move yourselves away. Away!
What are these the black things? Is that like higher altitude things that we're passing through? These things?
Giant pillars by the looks of it.
Yeah, pillars, I'd say.
They're stalagmites, yeah.
Right.
Like natural stalagmites.
Not
Hello. Okay, so long story short, hold your farms. Yeah, so you start to walk up on the edge of the fungi grove, obviously the drow one. And as you walk through the grove, you notice a small zirkwood bench underneath a towering zirkwood mushroom stalk. And sitting upon the bench appears to be a male drow with a single drape of long hair trailing across his shoulder, his right shoulder, upon which a finely wrought zirkwood staff leans. As you get closer and you get a sort of a better look at him, the drow appears to have rather bad scarring on the left side of his face, and indeed the rest of his body, judging by his similarly scarred left hand. As you sort of walk into speaking range, he kind of just says out loud, "Black pudding attack." He says as a...
What?
He says
Oh.
black pudding attack. He says as a weak grin spreads across his face, although with the scar it looks more sinister than jovial.
Black puddings are like acidic gelatin monsters. So like if you got covered in black pudding, it would perhaps explain
The burns.
the yes.
Looks,
Okay.
looks like that. I've also provided his name
Right.
there because YOLO.
Zilchin Leptin.
Yes, I've encountered some black puddings in my day as well. Weird little deep gnome who called himself the Pudding King.
Yeah, gives out a chuckle at that one.
Very strange. Hello, how are you?
Yeah, he kind of just shrugs. Yeah, he just kind of eyes you a bit, like kind of somewhat suspiciously.
I'll perhaps move like another 5 feet closer, but then stop. My name is Rodolph. These are my friends, Volin, the deep gnome, and Marniak, the Tula gentleman.
Zulchin Kaleptin, at your service.
We're just we've newly arrived in the city, and it seems there's a bit of turmoil going on, and we're just trying to make sense of it all.
Yes, well, I must confess I have no idea what caused the Durga to attack the deep gnomes, but I know that our, which is to say the drow merchants, have withdrawn to the warehouse behind me. They seem to be content to wait and see how the violence plays out. They're also content to leave me out here to fend for myself. Damn wiles, the lot of them.
And what is your position in the drow community here?
Outcast. He kind of gives you an even wider grin that looks even more sinister than jovial before.
Rodolph kind of like turns to the other and says, "I like him. He's an outcast. It means he's not, you know, he's not a normal drow. I like that. I don't like sort of drow culture very much. You see, yeah. Yeah, they tried to sacrifice me once to the biter thing, you know.
Our Lady
that'll be.
Loth.
He said hour.
Yes, that's the one.
He gives you a wink as he says it there.
Oh, so okay.
It
Schmidt what? Inside check.
Alright.
didn't sit with me very well.
Inside check on that comment of how he said hour and then winked. That's a natural 20.
So you get the impression that he says it sincerely, but with a sense of like irony slash like kind of sarcasm. Like just a bit of a like, you know, a cheeky kind of slant, but yeah.
Hmm. Yes, so have you been enjoying your seat there for long enough to see any of the action out in the market area?
Well, I must confess I tried to stay out of it. But, well, sitting here I've been watching the Drow Enclave and thinking I might be able to sneak my own way in. Alas, well, I find myself down on my luck and down on my regard for my fellow Drow right now, so to speak, even without all of that madness adding to it.
You're trying to sneak into your own enclave?
Better than being lynched by Durgar.
Well, I think a lot of the Duergar out in the marketplace at the moment are dead. No idea how that might have happened. Uh, uh so I don't know. Things seem fairly calm at the moment. Uh,
Oh, trust me. They have a large supply of them at their warehouse. I doubt that they're all dead.
I see. Uh, Unfortunate. Um,
Why would?
uh,
Why aren't you allowed into your own embassy enclave?
Yeah, kind of just takes a look at you and kind of gives you a bit of a quizzical look.
Oh, let's just say, I got on the wrong side of their laws. Once.
Join the club. What is it you did?
I wouldn't ask you, and I prefer not to say so myself. Suffice to say, a petty theft.
petty theft is the best kind of theft. Uh, so we bumped into a deep gnome, who was telling us about some gargoyles that apparently protect the Drow Enclave. Know much about those?
Not in particular, in fact, only arrived a few days ago from Mesnoberan, the Drow capital.
Everybody seems to have only just recently arrived
I just
here.
got here.
This petty theft didn't have anything to do with a gem, did it?
Mine? No. I said petty, not, grand.
Inside.
By all means. Yeah, you get the impression that he's being sincere. If only because when you say it, he kind of it looks like he grins, and it looks like he likes the idea of stealing a gem, and the fact that he didn't steal a gem, you know, like kind of reveals through that.
Side note, can I get a better look at him? Like, does he have weapons equipped? How's he dressed? I think that's the thing.
He's got somewhat fairly typical robes. For a drow, he's got that one like finely wrought staff that he's got leaning over one shoulder. Other than that, there's not really much characteristic about him, so to speak.
So he's not really dressed like he's sort of rich or sort of well-travelled kind of thing, or
Well, he looks like his robes are somewhat, um, they're not like casual wear. They're sort of like travelers' proper robes.
Yep.
Aside from that, yeah, he's not like loaded for bear or anything like that.
Can I see shoes?
Yeah, so they're basically just like typical travelers' boots,
Are
essentially.
they muddy? They're clean? They got any sort of visible
Uh,
substance on them? Anything like that?
Give me a perception.
Yeah, roger that. Just thought I'd get it out of the way now. Yeah.
So it kind of has just on the edge of the bottom, like what looks to be a little bit of fungus or some such similar substance. Aside from that, like maybe a bit of the sort of stone dust that permeates everything in the Underdark.
Yeah, no worries.
That's about it.
Hmm.
Anyone jot down his name? I know it's in that picture,
It's in the picture.
but
Dilshin Klepton.
let's put Silchin down.
So, bit of an outcast from the Drow people, but do you mind asking what your uh career is? You know, well, not really career, but what do you do to pass your time?
I was a wizard of mediocre renown.
Ah, well, I'm a wizard as well. Isn't that funny?
Yes, I recognized a fellow mage in the profession, as they
Yeah,
call us in the
good,
Drow tongue.
good profession. Good profession.
It's okay.
He gives you another one of his like grins that looks kind of a bit off when half your face is melted off.
So we get the impression you've been here for a while. Did you see the? Did you happen to
Only a
witness
few
the
days.
commotion? I mean, in this particular spot, watching what happened.
Ah, well, it's a bit too far off to really see the specifics, only the tide of refugees running from their stalls. I got most of my information secondhand, saw some of the Durigar on the other side of the river in the distance. I pieced it together. The Durigar have gone wild and they're slaughtering all and looting more.
You didn't happen to see a little deep gnome trying very hard to sneak around the area?
Yes, I just figured he was trying to avoid Durigar.
Turns out he lost something his boss had entrusted him with.
Well,
Quite unfortunate.
well, if his boss is anything like ours, he's in for a good time.
So I'm just a little bit curious about the gargoyles the drow use. Are they uh some sort of summoned creature or a
Oh no, they're somewhat common, I suppose. The name suggests they're just gargoyles. They tend to perch on the edge of buildings and inside of stalactites and wherever they hang out, I don't quite know. It's beneath me, I must admit.
Kind of has
and
a bit of a snooty kind of look for a moment.
I see. Do they are they bound to a master or do they kind of like a pet dog or
Yeah. Generally, they just obey whoever's the most powerful drow, much like the rest of us.
I see. So they're more kind of like a independent sentient creature.
Of a sort.
I see.
Much like the Quaggoths, I suppose, insofar as they can be called intelligent, independent creatures.
Yes. Um. Well, I'd be quite interested in coming back and having more of a chat with you later, but I suppose unless any of my friends have more questions? Friend?
I can't think of anything.
Yeah, I don't know what to ask him. He's just another guy at the moment.
He
Yeah.
kind of stands up, and he kind of puts out like his one spare hand.
Listen, I don't suppose you might be interested in trying to get inside the Drow warehouse?
Well, our pressing concern at the moment is to introduce ourselves to the Zenturium Enclave and recruit their help in clearing the rock slide which has trapped the rest of our caravan. But I have the feeling once we've done that, we will be extremely interested in getting in to see the Drow.
Actually, one other thing for you. You haven't noticed any strange goings on within your enclave, like a beholder or something. We've heard rumors.
I must admit I haven't had the chance to really inspect the enclave much. But I just assumed that you wanted to get in there because, well, you are on the doorstep. But here's the problem. Why I'm not in there. You see, the only way to get in there is to bypass the arcane lock, the spell cast upon the door. Only the Drow Chief Negotiator and the 4 trusted guards with her have the ability to do so.
Oh, I'm more than happy to have a look at that one. I, I think I have, and Roldo's gonna pull out his spellbook and like flick through a couple of pages. I'm pretty sure I have a thing here. Have you tried using knock?
I must confess I misplaced my spellbook and my, how shall we say, hasty departure from Menace Noberan.
That's. Oh, I'm very sorry to hear that.
Kind of opens up his robe, and there's like a little, like a small pink, sort of purplish silk, kind of like baggy kind of sack or whatever. He kind of pats it gently.
I'm afraid that's all I've got left after my unfortunate and hasty departure.
Like maybe the size of, sort of your outstretched palm, outstretched hand. That's about it. Kind of like closes his robe up again.
At any rate, the Drow Negotiator, she and her elite guards left about half an hour ago. I expected them to be back by now, but, well, neither she nor her guards have returned. If you want to get in, you'll have to track them down.
More than happy to add that to our list of priorities. Yes. Now, say, this is just. I mean, I don't know how my friends here would feel about it, but once you've finished your business here in town, would you perhaps be interested in the opportunity to perhaps make a little bit of money? Maybe do a little bit of adventuring?
I'd be interested in that opportunity now or later. As I said, I'm somewhat down on my luck.
Yes, well, our caravan, it's more of an expedition into the Underdark. More allies would always be welcome. I I think more people well versed in magic as well, probably very helpful.
I don't know if the go down so well, but sure.
More hands, the better. All things considered, I think. I don't think Fallen is very happy.
Well, I'm fine with him, but I think they will probably either eat him alive or just cause distrust between everyone. How about we talk about this later anyway?
Yeah, it's a matter for later.
Yeah, that's fair enough. So anyway, we're going to go say hello to the Zentirum. After we've said hello to the Zentirum, I suppose we'll try and track down this drow lady.
Do you have any
I-
idea where she went? Any at all?
I believe that she went in the direction of the Zentirum Enclave to the south.
Oh, well, perfect.
Perhaps I could show you the way. Not like I have anything better to do here.
That works for me.
Yeah, works for me too.
Alright then.
Kind of stands up and he kind of leans on his staff and uses it sort of as a walking stick as he heads down to the south.
Is he really old as well?
No, he's like maybe just on the just reaching the bad side of middle age, barely.
So, what, like 28?
Unless you were serious, at which point, oh.
Yeah, I was serious. Kind of.
Uh,
But he's a drow, so he could be
Yeah.
like 1,500 or something, I don't know.
that too.
Um,
Yeah, so he walks off to the south if you want to follow him.
sure, got nothing
Yep.
else going on.
As you walk over,
Oh shit.
what?
I've seen too much. With my dark
Nice.
vision on that path, it reveals enemies to the left, but you know,
As in the elite warriors?
do I actually see them?
Yeah, I was just literally gonna say, so like up and to the left, as you walk down the path, you see like the two elite warriors guarding the entrance to the Drow Enclave. Is that what you mean? Up and to the left?
Yeah. Do they
Yeah.
bat an eyelid as we're walking past with another fellow drow?
You can't really see from here. It's at the very edge of your vision, but they kind of they're stock still at
Alright.
any rate. So you get, or at least Zilchin gets to about here. I assume you guys follow him.
Yeah. Is he?
Hmm.
Is he walking like creeping or anything? He's just walking normally, just
No, he's just walking down the path.
chilling.
Let me see if the vision's about right. Yeah, okay. For the sake of convenience. Okay. So. Oops, sorry.
Must say that the superior dark vision doesn't really seem to make my circle of vision that much bigger than everyone else's, or if at all.
So, what I've got it set to is 1.5 times the amount of vision. The reason why it doesn't seem all that big is because the only person in the party that doesn't have dark vision is Rolda. I'm not sure if you can do it, but I can do
I
it.
have superior, not normal dark vision. Mine's in fact even stronger.
Oh, okay. What's the
Superior
range
is,
on
is
that?
much stronger. I don't I have to look at my book. Just continue. I'll look it up.
Okay. Right. So long story short, you arrive at the edge of the Zentirum encampment. And the area here looks like it was once part of a larger fungi grove, similar to the ones you've already seen. The remains of roughly hewn stumps and smaller fungi persist here and there. And a few small sections of the grove, the more colourful and pretty sections by the look of it, have been clearly boxed in and maintained for decoration. However, in the place of the majority of the grove, a huge pavilion and several smaller tents now stand instead. A substantial amount of water drips, or perhaps more accurately, pours from the roof in a steady stream and splashes off their ceilings, creating shallow but dirty pools everywhere around the edge of the cluster of structures. While the smaller tents are mostly wide open and clearly for the purpose of trading, their wares neatly evacuated and their furniture, banners, and signs fully intact, unlike those you've seen earlier, the main pavilion features walls of presumably cloth material. Only a narrow doorway seems to give an avenue to seeing the inside from the outside. Aside from a long table, lavishly furnished with food and drink, 5 warriors, of which 3 are female and 2 are male, are swathed in dark robes whose colors somewhat blend in with the terrain they're standing on, stand guard around the perimeter of the main pavilion. From their stance and the way that their metallic gear manages to look delicate yet brutal while sporting a dull satin finish reflecting barely any light at all, it seems like these drow may count themselves amongst their kind's elite. And I'll just kind of mess around with the line of sight thing. Like, I know the line of sight is really short on this map, but it's because like the hexes are what they are.
So on roll 20, dark vision is 60 feet, whereas superior is 120.
120?
Yep.
So pure darkness, you can see 120 as if it's dim.
Yeah. Black and white. Yeah, it's in the... If you look under like drow, dark elf setting, it says dark vision 120 feet here. Superior dark vision, that is, not dark vision. Dark vision 60.
Alright, well hang on, there's an easy way to do this.
Hang on. How does it work with the light thing? Can you just like type in the integer?
It's just, it's kind of broken. Because like, okay, so there's the one thing which emits, like it says how much light you emit, right?
Sure.
And then there's also a separate thing that says like has sight, but you can't determine how far you can see as well as how much light you emit. It's along the lines of how much light you emit, but then your sight is a multiplier of that. So I guess what I'm saying is, if I change your emits light to like a lot higher,
Yeah.
then even people without dark vision are going to be able to see things that are like ridiculously outside of their range. Like it'd be pretty much the same as give everyone dark vision. So just give me a second to mess around with
this. Maybe if you
this.
just remember my, say, passive perception or something I might notice that not everyone else would notice. I'm okay with that, so you don't have to put it on the map, but just leave it how it is, and then just, I don't know, if you want to give me that, that's fine. Just to make it easier.
See, that makes it mad bright in the hood, yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to, just so no one else has that as well, just like keep it the same, basically.
Oh, I already fucking gave it to the wrong person. No. I did really fucking good. And the annoying thing is that gives you bright vision.
Yes.
And it's not supposed to be.
Nah, it's supposed to be you like just notice things, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
Dim light still, so you can still notice things in dim light, but yeah. Yeah, as I said, just leave it how you had it. I guess that's fine. And then just if I passively notice something, maybe just let me know.
Hang on, so light radius optional. Start of dim.
And deep notes, unlike say drow, they don't have the light sensitivity that drow does, which is kind of weird. But I can't grow hair on my head, apart from my face.
So if I set it like so,
that seems alright. But still, everyone else can see it.
right. Okay, so that's the bright. Okay. Right. So your torch throws out 20 feet of bright light. So I put it to 10 with a multiplier of 2. You have 60 feet radius of dim light, even though that's not what a torch does. And then I multiplied that by 2, so you get 120.
Right.
And then for everyone else, it's 60 feet dark vision.
Does everyone else see what I see, or is it different?
Yeah,
Yeah.
everyone else shares vision.
Right.
Yeah, it looks like we do. Yeah.
It's kind of complex, but anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is cool having the light feature though.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm happy to keep paying the thing because I think it's pretty cool. Like everyone sees what everyone else sees, right?
Yep. No,
Like
I
it isn't
assume so.
broken?
I can see it when rolled off, you know, goes up the top and
Yeah.
reveals things.
Yeah.
Interesting. Alright, cool. Alright, yep, so like long story short, you see everything I just described, you sort of the pavilions, there's Drow warriors in there, or rather like surrounding the main pavilion. Yeah. And you sort of see someone sort of pacing in there, but you don't really get a good look.
Right.
So as you sort of walk up, Zilchin kind of speaks up.
Well, this is interesting. It seems that the Zentirum and the Drow have organized a meeting. Perhaps that's why they haven't returned in quite some time. Doesn't look like the Zentirum have come out to join them yet, though. I suspect perhaps that they're waiting for the, well, current state of events to die down.
I suspect you're right.
I wouldn't suggest approaching the Drow when they're at this level of readiness. Something tells me they wouldn't take kindly to us crashing on their party.
So you think trying to just slip past and knock on the Zentrum door maybe not a very good idea at the moment?
Not unless you like being cut down.
What do you
Sure.
suggest?
Well, to be honest, I'm out of ideas. We could wait it out. It could take a while.
Really want to step to the Zentrum? I don't really want to fight Drow.
Well, we don't really want to fight Drow right now.
Possible solution is I create an illusion, draw them away, we just go in. I don't know. They will come back eventually though, so it's only a temporary solution.
I don't think such a cheap trick would fool our
These aren't
negotiators'
cheap
elite
tricks,
guards.
but Point taken.
Yeah,
So you think they would attack us on sight?
he kind of bows stiffly.
I mean no disrespect. It's my type of tool as well.
What did you say, sorry?
So you think they would attack us if we draw near, or?
I think they might warn us once. That's about it.
I mean, we have every right to be going up to the Zentirum Enclave as anybody.
I don't think that they would care about that right.
Yeah, Drow. I mean,
Perhaps we
They're
can
on
do a Jurigar
Zentirum.
thing and come back to this.
They're on Zentirum territory, though, really, aren't they? Like,
It doesn't really matter because what reason they're there for, they are there, and that's all that matters at this point, I think. He says
Alright.
that they will be aggressive, so we want to avoid that. So possibly we could just go do the Jurigar thing and come back.
yeah, if we want to actually, like, yeah, Durgard Enclave is kind of our only option at the moment. It's that
I don't know,
way.
I feel like that's just gonna end in a bloodbath, like...
Yeah, but kind of
Are there any back ways into the Zentium Enclave that you might know about?
I must admit, I'm not exactly an expert at Mantle Derek.
Well, if the Jurga are on the other side of this place, I'd say through there.
Hmm.
I mean, like, wait, the Zentarium are not there currently? Is that what he said?
So basically, from where you can, well, from where you're standing, you can just barely see into like a crack in the sort of flaps of the tent,
He's pacing, right?
and there's a drow-looking guy pacing in sort of white, rather woman in white robes.
Oh, she's either waiting or she's thinking. So I'm guessing she's waiting by the context of what that guy was talking about.
Hmm.
So it's a very small thing. Even slipping in the back is not going to help us. I think we just need to do well. The other thing we needed to do, we just have to do in a different order.
Yep. Sounds like a good idea. I just have to go visit the bathroom. Sorry.
Yeah, I do as well, actually. Actually, should we take a break?
Yeah, I'll need to sort out dinner soon, actually. So maybe we just go now.
That sounds like a good idea.
What?
Let's in break.
8:30, I guess.
Sure.
Yep.
Alright, I'll be back.
Go.
I am back.
Welcome back. Sounds like you're sick as well. Wonderful.
Not really sick per se, just a frog in my throat, Alex.
Frog in my throat. Most strange thing anyone has ever said.
Anyway, what? So you probably noticed at some point in time, but what I've just done, so I can sort of like try and remain more mindful of like how far Roldov can see, is I just like whack down like a what, aura.
Yeah, I was wondering what that was all about. Well, I don't know if that would like annoy everyone or annoy yourselves. If not, then like I guess keep doing it.
Yeah, well, it's that, or like every 10 minutes I'm gonna be going, this is what I can see, okay.
Yeah, I totally understand.
Because like, up until now, I've just kind of been assuming um, like what we can see is what everybody can see, not like it's just showing that because like that's what Vorlin can see, you know?
I suppose.
It's gonna be so good when this internet turns over.
Just pray that they don't cut you off for a long time.
Um, it looks like essentially how it works is because they had this big thing talking about how like um you will need to go in and like make sure to manually like terminate any other like ADSL plans or whatever you have with other providers. Um, so I think basically what would happen is it basically keeps working right up until the point when they yank the cables out and plug them into the NBN infrastructure instead.
Yeah.
Um, like I very highly doubt anything's gonna happen tonight, but like if my internet suddenly like drops out, it's probably because they've switched over. Because basically,
also
I think
highly doubt
all I
that.
have to do on my end is remove like the ADSL filter box thing.
Right. I wonder if those actually help if you don't have anything else on the line. I
Um,
suppose you would have, like, you have a phone on the line, right?
yeah, I think it's more for the phone than it is for the internet, if that makes sense.
Suppose.
But yeah, I just still can't get over the fact like that the most expensive NBN plan is still fucking $10 cheaper than our ADSL plan.
How expensive is your ADSL plan?
$109 a month.
Jesus fucking Christ, because I've been complaining about ADSL costs, or rather NBN costs. Like, here in the
Yeah,
city,
we've had
it's
that
more
this
expensive.
discussion in the past. I think like you're complaining about how they've sort of like averaged out the cost for everyone regardless of where they are,
Well, not
whereas
just
it's
that.
kind of the opposite for ADSL.
It's just regardless of like where you are, it's retarded that for the comparable speed plan. I mean, they have like the 12 Mbit plan and like the 25 Mbit plan, and I have no doubts in my mind that just as ADSL 2 Plus is 24 Mbit on paper, but isn't in reality. The 25 will be, 25 on paper, but not in reality. So like long story short, 25, 24, pretty comparable, I reckon. The long story short, the 25 and 24, rather the 25 NBN versus the 24 ADSL 2 Plus, ADSL 2 Plus is half the price with unlimited downloads, or like functionally unlimited downloads. The NBN one, double the price and like 100 gig downloads max for most providers.
Yeah.
Kinda ridiculous, kinda ridiculous.
Probably, I imagine if I lived like in Adelaide or something, I would probably kind of be feeling the same way. Uh, I just so luckily happen to live in bumfuck nowhere, where it's like, this is cheaper.
Well, not sure if we can call it luck, considering how long you've been paying the other price. Seems unlucky on the whole.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is every likelihood that we'll end up downgrading to like the 50 megabit plan or something like that.
Really? Even though you're saving money compared to before.
Well, kind of the idea is like, if we're paying for the 100 megabit plan and we're only getting 50 megabit, there's no point paying like double the cost for that essentially. So what we'd do is downgrade that next speed plan down, and sort of hopefully would still be getting around that 50 megabit mark, but not be paying for a 100 megabit connection, you know?
I suppose. In theory.
In theory. In practice, it probably won't work that way.
Yeah, I was thinking there's been a massive uproar about those like speed plans and stuff recently.
I'm very much convinced that it's mostly like scandal mongering.
You reckon?
Well, look, so the NBN, the two headlines I've seen are NBN Co reveals that, you know, not all customers will be able to achieve like the maximum speed of their connection, and NBN Co reveals that customers on fiber to the node will never be able to achieve the network's maximum speeds. And like anybody who knows how copper networks works, or like paid attention 6 years ago when the Liberals said this is how we're going to do it, and every technology expert in the country said that's not the way to do it. Like, if people
That's
have
all
been
well
paying
and good.
attention, it's like,
That's all well and good, but the point is that they were promised 100 in many cases, and they got like some teeny fraction of that. And so, but I mean, not like the NBN company is gonna do like a speed check and let people know that. You know what I mean? Like they were promised a certain speed, and if they're not getting it, then it's on NBN code to just sort of sort that out, as opposed to just keep charging people for the 100.
It's not NBN that promised them though. It's
Well,
the ISPs.
I suppose. But,
NBN's
I mean,
still the wholesaler though, and they're the
yeah.
people in charge of the thing, so they would be
They're
like they
responsible
would
to
be
a point,
telling
but the
the
ISPs are
providers.
supposed to be responsible to like know what their lines can provide and not promise more than their lines can provide. That they've
But they get that
hired off
information
NBN.
from the NBN Co.
Yeah, but they would have known. Like NBN probably gave them the right information, but Optus and Telstra and all that are competing, trying to get business, so they'll say that you're going to get faster than you're going to get. Like,
Well, yeah, they have actually changed in as recent as the last 6 months. It used to be, they just showed straight up like, this is the 100 megabit plan. You'll get, up to 100 megabits per second. But now it's actually like, they actually say they give the evening peak hour estimates.
yeah.
But like even that, like you look at and it's like, yeah, I very highly doubt most people are getting that. And then the other thing as well is you would have a lot of people who don't get the difference between. Like, I understand that there is a difference between megabyte and megabit, and I still don't fully like understand that difference. So
You
you'd have
retarded.
lots.
It's 8 bits to the byte. You get the megabits, you divide it by 8, you get the megabytes.
So you have a lot of people who just
That's
don't
too
even
much.
realize
That's
that
too
that's a
much for a lot
thing.
of people, though.
Oh my god.
It really is.
Like 90% of people signing up, they would see the 100 megabit thing and expect that that means 100 megabytes a second.
Well, sure.
It is very deceptive, though.
It
Like, they
is.
shouldn't be doing it like that. And
It's just
I'm
the
surprised there
standard,
isn't a
though.
law in
It's
it.
the
It,
standard.
it shouldn't be the standard though. Like
It's
that's
the
the
standard across the world. I mean, sure, you could argue that, but I mean, that's just the way it is. It's like with hard drives. They all advertise as like 1 terabyte, but after formatting, it's whatever. And they use the metric terabyte as opposed to, you know, like the what's the call? The power of 2 definition of terabyte. Sure, I mean, it probably would be good if we didn't do it that way, but then, you know, people would scream to say like, oh, if we changed it to megabyte, people would be screaming that Australia's internet speeds are fucking terrible, and like they'd be complaining and going off their skull that, you know, oh, last year I got a plan that was 100 megabit, and now you're saying it's only, you know, 10 or 12 or whatever. That's outrageous. And then you'd have to pay people
People are
to sort them
complaining
out.
about our internet enough as it is. Like, I don't think an increase is going to make any difference.
Well, I'm just saying, like, if on paper it, you know, if they're stupid enough to not understand the difference in the first place, and something tells me that, you know, there's going to be a fucking flood of people calling up, screaming, being like, "Oh, you've changed, you know, what it says about my plan from 100, you know, MB to 12 MB. You mean that you've, you know, slashed my plan speed by, you know, 7/8?"
Transparency is a big thing in Australian like consumer though. Like, and if megabytes is what is like actually used, and
Well, in the industry and like in every other country that advertises internet speed, no, it's not. Every other country uses Mbit as well.
yeah, they use it, but then that's for Australians. Like, no one really is caring about the bits. It's the bytes that are what's being used.
But I mean, it's so easily
and for the
converted.
vast majority, I would imagine that
But
the
it's about
problems are still the
transparency, though.
same
It's like
regardless of the country.
It's happened before where
it's like
there's
buying.
been laws and rulings where you can't make it confusing for customers. Like, they have to be told what they're getting in a format that they understand, not just changing it
Well, I
and
think they would
confusing them with it.
argue. I think they would argue that first of all, like, there's something to be said that it might be more confusing just to have like multiple units rather than just sticking to Mbit, which is universal. But also, you know, it's not hard to convert it. Not to mention, like, okay, look at centiliters, for instance, right?
But it's not
No
even
one
about
uses
converting it, it's about
centiliters.
people even knowing it exists in the first place. Like, you've got all your families and like older people and all that, and they don't even know that there's a difference between bit and byte. Like,
Well,
they don't
sure,
even
but
say it on the advertisements.
Let me put it this way:
there's
like
the same people
I
that
open
won't know
up
what a
Steam, and what
megabyte
Steam's
is.
showing me, it's showing me my downloads in megabytes per second if I'm downloading that fast. I open up my torrent program, it's showing me in megabytes.
Yeah, I get
I
that.
start downloading something off the internet, it's
I
showing
get
me in
that,
bytes.
but bottom line is the entire world uses Mbit for
That might
connection
be the
speeds.
industry standard, but the consumer standard, everything is showing you information in
Like
bytes, not bits.
you buy like LAN hardware and it advertises it's a gigabit connection or a megabit connection. You know, you do Wi-Fi standards, they're an Mbit.
Only
Everything
because
is
it's
standardized.
almost like artificially inflated. Like, they've just changed it.
Well, but I mean, it's to do with the definition of a bit and a byte. Like I'm not entirely sure how it started, but it must make more sense to talk about bits rather than bytes
In a
at
consumer
some
sense, when you're
point.
trying to sell something, sure. When someone tries to
No,
sell
but
it
I mean in terms
in
of just
mega,
developing the hardware.
yeah, but what they would have slapped on the label would have come about because someone was advertising megabits and someone else was advertising megabytes, and all of a
Well,
sudden the
at the end
dude
of
with
the day,
megabits was selling.
at the end
Like,
of the day, like even if you force the ISPs to overnight or whatever, or over time or whatever, change to megabytes, nothing's really going to change in terms of what they're going to offer, and in terms of like what people understand. They're just going to be more confused and angry that their speeds have suddenly been slashed by 1/8, or rather 2/1/8 on paper, and they're not going to understand, like, why some stuff is still an mbit, why some stuff is mbyte, and you can't get all of the
I get
world's
changing.
international
Changing
hardware.
is going to make it confusing, but it shouldn't have been like that in the first place. Like,
No,
they brought
I
it
don't
on
know.
themselves.
I don't know. Historically, it might have made more sense to use mbit. Not to mention, like, it's all international stuff. Like, you know,
Anyway, let's continue. Sounds like Dave's back. Looks like Dave's back.
right. One, 1 second now.
I was gonna say something, but you were talking about all the bits and shit.
What were you gonna say?
Huh? Oh, I was
What
gonna
were
say I was
oh.
back.
Oh, okay, right.
I just there wasn't an opening, so
No, fair enough. No, I just
spilled a drink on my keyboard, so I had to go clean that up.
You're the new Alex now.
Nah,
Mine was
dropping the
non-alcoholic.
bottle is going to remain the standard unit of measurement for delay.
What's that?
Dropping the bottle is going to remain the standard unit of measurement for delay.
You mean dropping the bottle on about 1,000 other bottles?
Yeah.
Or the sound of like looking for something in a car that's filled with just empty beer bottles? Well,
That
like your
too.
wallet.
I drink a lot.
That's the one.
I drink a shitload.
So the last thing we were discussing was whether we're to go to the Duragar instead of attacking these drows.
Well, he said they give us a warning, so we do have a chance to talk to them.
What's our priority here? What do we need to do with the Centurion? Like, why are we here?
We need to find out about the beholder. Like, I guess is kind of a priority.
It's kind of, but we don't really know what sort of imminent threat it is. Other than that,
And
we need
I
to
feel
talk to
like they're convening to talk about the Duragar, like,
yeah.
aggression. Like,
Well,
if we...
the other option
Yeah.
here is it's kind of meta game. I go invisible and just listen to the conversation.
That's not really metagame. We could talk about that.
What's that?
That's not really metagame. Like, that's something we could legit talk about.
Oh, yeah, I'm just doing it so I do the accent and shit. But
Yeah, fair enough.
You're right, but so the drawback with that is
we don't know when they're showing up. Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't know when they're showing up. We also don't know the capabilities of the Drow guards or the Drow representative.
They have
Like,
true
you
sight
might
or
cast
something.
invisibility
Yeah.
and walk over, and they'll just turn around and be like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And then like we're getting off immediately. Like, I don't know. I kind of think if we're gonna do something, we should just walk up and see if perhaps we can talk our way in. And if they're just like, "Nah, get lost," we
get lost.
get lost and we go purge some Durgar.
Fucking love a good purge.
So I don't know what the rules of invisibility is, but it's pretty much. It seems that you are just invisible. It's not really a perception thing at all. Like, it's not any of that sort of shit.
There's sound.
It's just sound.
Basically, every other sense still exists other than sight, essentially.
Yep.
And there's also stuff that can magically penetrate, like invisibility. Not saying that applies here or that it doesn't.
Yeah,
but
I
just,
getcha.
I figured I'd be as complete as possible.
I can actually cast that at the 4th level, which means I can make someone else invisible as well. Just FYI, just for future reference.
I
have 1/4 left.
Right. I mean, yeah.
I mean,
For each slot above 2nd, so I can make 2 more people invisible.
I mean, we don't really need to get into the Zentium Enclave that desperately yet.
Yeah, I'm
Well,
just saying, just
Mm.
something to keep in mind.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
I didn't
yeah.
realize I could do that until now. I didn't know there were ups that, higher ranks I could do that sort of shit, so.
so it would be pretty useful to like see if the Zentirum have a better idea of what's going on. Feel like, yo,
Yeah.
we're from like the expedition.
We're bros of Nero.
There's been a cave in. Can you send some people to help dig the cave in out so we have access to the rest of our caravan potentially faster?
Where's the main gate? Do we know where the main? Because we came in the back entrance, didn't we?
You don't really know anything about the layout outside of how you got in here.
Yeah, but we definitely came in like a back entrance. Hey, I think that's what Nero was saying.
Yeah, it was. When we were going in here originally, it was like a secret
Hmm.
kind of entrance.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did sort of suggest that it wasn't the main entrance.
I think something we could do is, like, say if we backtrack, we go back across the bridge, maybe we go along to here, just scout that area out, and if we're going around to this side, just keep an eye out to see if we see the Zentirum, and then maybe we could intercept them before they get there. Unless they're coming from, say, this.
Yeah, well, that's their enclave right there.
Yeah, I thought these guys were pretty much camped out their front door.
Oh, so this is actually a drow camp, is it?
No, so this is the Drow enclave up here,
Yeah.
and
But, like,
this
is
is
this
the
a fort?
Zentirum enclave right here, and this is where the Drow party is set up waiting for the Zentirum.
Yeah, like a drow.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Is this a forward
Contingent.
camp for the drow? Like this?
Basically,
Right.
they're hanging out waiting for them.
I would
run.
say that it's more likely that that's like
Meet-
a meeting area set up
Yeah,
by the
yeah.
Zentirum.
I would like to know what's discussed there. The thing is, don't know how long they're gonna be. We could just wait it out and find out. Is there some sort of sentry magic we could put up to know when there's movement down here, possibly?
Well, we
I don't
can
know.
see
Maybe like a
them from
cat?
here, can't we? Like, we can see them, so we can just sit here and wait and watch.
I
Like,
wonder they haven't seen us, because they have dark vision too.
yeah, well, they possibly have.
Safe to assume that they've probably seen us, and they just like, if we're not coming
Not a
closer,
threat,
we're
yeah.
we're not.
Yeah. But if we set up camp and start watching them,
Yeah, it's a
they
little
might take
sus.
more notice. Yeah.
Is there maybe a better spot we could watch from?
Across the
Yeah.
river thingy?
Maybe here. Is that
Hmm.
obscured when we walk past there, Alex? Just
hang
there.
on. My vision's gone all fucky. And
Is
I'm
that?
to
Oh,
refresh.
backtrack up over to there, and just
Yeah.
poke around,
so
see if there's
adjacent
somewhere
to
we
the
could set
forward camp.
ourselves up and have a good clear line of sight to the meeting spot.
One moment, I have to refresh. Like, my
Yeah, okay, do what
vision
you
is
gotta do.
all screwed up.
The only thing is, it's going to be difficult to see if the entrance is here. How do we know from here if someone is entering? Like here
We should be able to see the
From
people
there
at least.
to there.
Hmm.
It's,
If this is all blocked, we can't
Please
see
don't.
this here from there. I don't think.
Alright, so long story short, if you're asking me whether you can see from there to the camp and all that, I mean, pretty much, you see, what you see is what you get. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
I don't know how large these little structures here are. Is this obscuring vision? Is that a tree or something, or a big?
Yeah,
that's a
it's-
little fungal patch.
Yeah.
It's a fungal gravy type of thing. It's like maybe hip height, I suppose.
Okay, sure. So
So
this
you can
here,
see over it.
where these two guards are, is that large?
So that's basically a tent, and yeah, like it's blocking some line of sight. Like they're basically standing right outside of the main tent, and there's like other tents sort of scattered around.
How tall is the ceiling? Is it 30 or 40 feet?
I think it was 30 feet, and it kind of like varies in areas. Like it's like a cavern roof. It's not exactly consistent. There's also like stalactites and all that everywhere.
I mean, can you cut it up?
Well, from directly where you are, like it's about 35 tall, and then
Right.
it goes as low as like 25, and then up to like 40 and all that. So you know what I mean?
So Rodolph's just gonna sort of like look at our drought wizard friend and ask him, so would would there be any way of talking to one of these guards, like an appropriate protocol, like don't make eye contact, stuff like that, like just out of curiosity.
Kind of strokes the hair that's like his single like massive lock of hair.
Hmm. Normally, I'd say perhaps yes, you could find a way to allow me to introduce you and such, but under these circumstances, with the heightened readiness and the way that they're standing guard, well, something tells me that they wouldn't give you a warm welcome. You could try, though. You might receive a poisoned crossbow bolt for your troubles, though. There's a reason why I didn't approach the guards outside of the Enclave.
Right, okay, I see.
I feel like me being deep gnome talking to them would not help, so I probably I won't offer my services there.
Microphone
Yeah,
muted.
I was kind of thinking at least Rodolph might be able to like sort of go over and like
Well, we could
make
like
our case, but if like given
could
that
try it up, and because we need I guess we need a reason to go up there and talk to them. Like, we just saying we want to go see the Antirum, or are we gonna say we've got some information on the Juriga threat?
Microphone
well
activated.
that's the thing, like I was thinking about it, but now given the response to that question, I think maybe just chilling out over where Maniac is and sort of just waiting for them to finish their meeting and go back. It's like it's that or go sort of like into the Juragar enclave, but I like we can definitely do that, but my concern is if we go there without speaking to the Zentirum first and potentially the Drow first, we might not have like a full picture and we might potentially miss out on some opportunities.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
So maybe if we're happy with that, to all come back here and just, you know, like wait an hour. I'm open to all the ideas. I guess the best way to put it is I'd prefer to remain on friendly terms with people if we can.
Yeah, sure.
It would be best to get another skirmish.
Oh, yeah, we could like watch and take another short break and... Oh, no, actually that probably won't achieve anything. But yeah, so Roldoff's gonna maybe indicate to wizard friends and wander off around to where Maniac is. And
Well,
You're just gonna sort of wait over there, like how?
I'm thinking
How's this
about
gonna work?
something.
yeah, well, like go for it. You do Volin. You do Volin, man.
How?
I suppose out of character, the best way to put it is like, doesn't matter what we do as long as we do something. Like if you want to go try your luck, I'll back you. If you want to wait, I'll back you. If you want to go kill Jurga, I'll back you. Like
I'm just reading the this spell. So, the Zentarum that are in our current, like, sort of, say, party, so to speak, how tall are they, and what sort of races are they? I just forget.
You mean the drow in the south?
No, the Zentarum
Oh,
that are in
Zentirum.
our party, like, as in,
Oh,
like, with our troops
they're
and stuff.
all humans. From like various ethnicities. Like they have like different shades of skin and all that. You kind of notice that a bit.
Right.
But they're all just sort of regular
Regular
sort of
humans.
humans, I guess. Yeah,
Is it
yeah, yeah.
generally, would I know that Zentarum are mainly humans?
Um, the population spread, or rather the race spread in the Zentirum, would be somewhat similar to like the spread in, let's say, Waterdeep or any of the other like large like typically human settlements on the Sword Coast,
Right.
which is
There's not any dwarves or anything other.
well, there definitely are in the organization. It's just, I mean, like the Neverwinter and Waterdeep are very metropolitan cities. You know, on the Sword Coast especially, there's lots of foreigners and like other species that have been living there since time immemorial. And with the Zentirum, sure, like you've seen definitely other races in the Zentirum. They're not human exclusive. It's
Yeah.
just that they tend to represent the same spread of races that you see on the Sword Coast, which is mostly human, but not exclusively by any means.
Okay. So this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna think about the Zentarum in our party. I'm gonna like conjure up the usual clothing and armors and things like that. I'll give myself an axe and a shield that I'll put on my back, basically. I'll make myself a dwarf with a beard in the traditional Zentarum fashion and colors. I'm gonna nip behind this little barrier here, ever so slightly,
Yeah.
and cast disguise self on myself.
Okay.
And then, with a wink and a nod, I'm just gonna wander down, not sort of stopping my stride, and just walk to the doors.
Okay. So you're not invisible, you're disguised, right?
Yeah, as a Zentarum.
Okay, so before you like move your character
As a dwarf.
all the way
okay,
there.
I'll go to here then.
Right, so you get within about bow shot range,
Uh-huh.
or hand crossbow range, more accurately. And long story short, the drow goes from like snap to attention, watching you out of the corner of your eye. And he sort of in a snap turns and sort of assumes a combat stance, sort of a hooked, barbed longsword in one hand, like serrated rather, in one hand, and then the other hand a hand crossbow.
Halt! Who are you?
Whoa, whoa, whoa. At ease, soldier. I'm just coming back from a scouting mission. I need to get back to my quarters.
Wow. That accent. Sorry, that just threw me off. What on earth accent was that even? Okay. First of all, you give me a deception roll straight off the bat for that.
What do you mean, what accent is that? It's a traditional Zentarum accent.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Oh, fucking hell, come on.
You see his eyes narrow.
Scouting mission? What? The Zentirum have been held up in here for hours now.
Yeah, I know. I've been gone for weeks now. Just let me go past. I need to report to my reporting officer.
You've been gone for weeks?
Yes.
Well, you've missed a hell of a party, friend.
He says it like with the most sinister, sarcastic tone.
Why? What's happened?
He kind of like looks out and like, the tents around him have been like, stripped bare. He like looks over towards the west like marketplace. You can see like the edges of that. Everything's just been ruined.
I don't think anyone's that stupid. What game are you playing? You just walked through an entire wrecked marketplace and you're pretending like everything's normal?
Well, of course everything's not normal. Have you seen the place?
Yeah, his eyes, gave him more narrow.
I'm not buying it. Who are you really? What are you doing here?
My name's Schliplack. I'm here. As I said, it's on a scouting mission.
A likely story.
There's a huge cave-in. I gotta get back to my brothers.
Even if your story was true, we're not letting anyone in.
Well, can you at least send somebody out to come meet me?
Your kind will join us for a meeting soon enough. You can wait until the meeting is done.
Alright, alrighty. Can I get your name so I can report you to my reporting officer?
You could go die in a hole.
Well, alright then.
I spit on the ground, not at him, like away, and then I'll walk back off.
Well, it's worth a shot.
Alright, I'll come back down and I'm balling again. Like, come join the guys up there. Bloody hell. That was fun. I gotta do that more often.
Where's Wizard
What?
Friend? Wizard Friend joining us, or Wizard Friend just gonna stand there?
No, he's definitely joining. Sorry, my apologies. He kind of just follows the group. He kind of gives you a bit of a shrug. Bit of an I told you so shrug.
Looks like we oughta...
Excuse me. Looks like we ought to just go to the other side of town, to the Jiragar, don't you think?
Yeah, I think that's probably.
Rodolph, can you summon
Best
your
option.
pet friend to possibly watch for us, so we don't all have to sit here like idiots?
I can, but I'm pretty sure, like, if we go more than a certain distance from each other, it just kind of like, like we can only operate so far apart. Just let me double check the.
Well, the thing is, you could place it like here or something. That might be close enough. Depending on how far this map... I mean, this map is pretty big. We've just barely scratched the surface.
Yeah, no,
I need to mark that spell
it's
off.
huge.
Do you mind posting the spell just out of curiosity? I haven't seen it in ages.
Is this the familiar one?
Yeah. I remember it being pretty fucking massive.
100 feet.
Yeah.
So that 100 feet is for communicating telepathically and casting a touch spell through it.
Alright, okay.
Yeah, I don't think it disappears or whatever. Do
I
you have
was
10 gold
sure-
worth of charcoal, incense, and herbs that must be
So that's
consumed
only
in
for
the first place?
the initial summoning. Once you've summoned it, you can summon it and dissipate it at will until it gets killed.
Oh, okay. Alright.
Is it possible for me to send a message to it? Or can only you talk to it?
I have like a telepathic link with it. I assume since it's either a Fae, I can't think of the other two, but it's like it's an actual creature, like it's a living thing.
Right. Does it
So-
speak in common or anything?
It's a spirit that takes an animal form.
Sure.
It's not like an actual animal.
Right, so like essentially I think I went with Fae as the type of spirit thing it was. So theoretically, like if you could send a message to a Fae creature, your spirit you're familiar with, then theoretically that should work on a familiar as well. Like
The thing is,
It's only 20 more feet than yours, but yeah.
if sure you might be able to communicate. It's a cat, right? Yours is a cat, right?
Yep.
Right. So even if someone else could communicate with it telepathically, you're communicating with a cat. Just FYI.
Yeah, anyway, it's only 20 feet more my range than your normal range, so it's probably not worth it for me. Anyway, I was just curious, really.
Yeah, like, so I suppose we could leave it, like, leave it here, but once we're outside of 100 feet, like, it's not going to be able to communicate with us.
Well, at the best, you could put it there, if you want to, that is, and then you could just, depending on how far away this place is, it, might work and it might not, but it's better than having nothing.
Yeah, I
Thoughts?
guess I'll dump, can't remember its name anymore, but, get the familiar out and,
Someone's not very familiar with it, familiar.
You named it and you've forgotten its name.
yeah, look, I don't have the best memory.
Uh-huh.
I think each time I've used its name, it's been a different name anyway, so it's like,
That's so fucking rolled off though.
Love how it just rolls with it as well.
yeah, so I'll get him out and I'll, like, basically just be like, yo, buddy, can you stay here and watch and watch this meeting between these Drow and these Zentirum and maybe let us know when it's over?
It kind of crawls over to the edge of the river, finds like a nice little spot of like fungal, loamy soil, and curls up and watches over the river.
Thanks, buddy. Alrighty, let's go perch some Jurga.
So, are we going back over the bridge and then down, I guess?
Yeah, because the Jurga
Yeah.
enclave would be over here somewhere.
Yeah.
We just go through the market. Is there enough room to go through the market?
Yeah, you can step through the tents and all that if you want.
What, down through here?
If you want, sure. I mean, you can sort of see that.
So we're seeing anything different on the right side here?
Not really. It's just more of the same. Just, yeah. Tents surrounding the main pavilion. Ring of Drow warriors around.
Right, so what's this here?
Alright, sorry. This part, that's new. One moment.
Okay.
So many pages. Okay. Right. So you find yourselves walking up on yet another fungal grove. And it's basically a dark iron wrought fence encloses the fungal grove. You can walk up a little bit further if you want. Through which narrow aisles have been carved. The grove contains a host of fungi that you have eaten previously, and is illuminated by 6 nightlight mushrooms. A tunnel in the south wall leads to a set of double stone doors.
This one here?
Yeah.
Is there anything funny about these glowing mushrooms? Look around there.
Give us a perception.
Looks kind of funny looking.
You should eat one.
You should eat one.
As far as you can tell, they look like normal night lights. I mean, especially hailing from here, you're kind of familiar with them.
I wish to poke the mushroom.
Well, the night lights are like high up on the ceiling.
Oh, then I don't do that.
They're like you'd need like to stand on someone's shoulder.
Probably a bit more than that as well.
Yeah.
So this, how high up's the ceiling again?
Well, the ceiling is okay. Sorry, I misspoke. They're high up on the walls, not
yep.
on the ceiling itself.
Right.
And they're about 10, 11 feet roughly.
Okay.
Yeah, so you have the double stone doors. They've got like iron
Oh shit,
bands.
enemy territory. Yeah.
Just casually,
Yeah, I
just march
just
up.
completely forgot that.
Yeah.
Probably about to get in some wicked combat.
Probably should have just gone into a. Tried to stealth up here. But just as well, it's unguarded, right?
We still got a bit of time. We could start stealthing now.
Yeah, we could stealth in.
It's still 40 feet
But-
away. And it's like stone surrounding.
Well, I'm god awful at stealth, so I don't know if you want me to hang back or something.
Do you have a disadvantage? Because you played?
Well, I've got plate armor on, so yeah, disadvantage.
Right. So we got stone doors. Are they... I'm guessing they're closed.
Yeah, so the stone doors are definitely closed. You can't see any like barring on the outside,
No guards?
but no guards that you can see.
Are there any slots or anything all around? Like windows or arrow slits, things like that?
Not that you can see. There is like a large knocker on each of the doors.
Oh.
Aside from that, there's nothing
I'll
else.
say with a hushed tone. Well, we have the choice here. Do we knock or do we, you know, knock?
Well, if you want to be a little bit cautious and maybe invisibility or something, or you know, hang back a little bit, I'm happy to go knock. You know,
We don't
with
have to go in
with
all
the
guns
door knocker.
blazing. They might be happy to talk for a bit. I don't know.
Let's try and be peaceful first, and if peaceful doesn't work, then we can knock.
Yeah, so we've got kind of two options. As I see, we can go and talk, or we can try and catch them by surprise and just stealth around and see what's going on.
Another option might be I could cast invisibility on all three of us. We knock on the door, we walk back, wait for it to open, and then we rush in.
I mean,
That
it has
probably
been
won't work, but
it's been suggested to us that the drow use invisibility as like a way of like standard operation. I imagine they probably
yes, they would counter that some way.
yeah. So maybe if we just knock on the door and like, as much as I
Yeah.
hate to say it, try and be diplomatic.
What about one person knocks on the door, the other two are out of sight, and then we just, if that person gets jumped, they can fall back, and the others attack at that point, or they rush in, something like that.
They could both.
Yeah,
Shall we roll for it? To see who knocks on the door?
alrighty.
Just roll 20, yep.
Oh, so like just straight up like a roll a d20?
Yeah.
Well, maybe I should do it because I'm in plate again. I'm probably not going to be that quiet.
That does make sense. I take back my roll. Maniac?
So
Adam, I'm gonna shift back around the corner to about here.
yeah, I'm just gonna try and kind of like step back and go
Yeah,
sneaky.
I'll roll stealth as well.
Alright, so what's the plan? What am I going to talk to them about? I'm going to pretend like...
I guess come up with something if they
Just-
answer the door politely.
Yeah, like see if
Talk
they're like
about Yentha?
willing to talk to us and suggest that we're happy to like we want to try and help resolve the situation.
Hmm. Yeah.
Parley?
Alright, you guys ready?
Yep.
Well, make sure to move your tokens where you can actually stand. Just FYI.
Yep, we've done that. Where's Wizard Buddy?
He's just sort of cowering. Sort of on the...
That guy, I forgot about that guy.
Alright, so you walk up to the door?
So are you guys going to cast invisibility first, or?
No, I'm not invisible. I'm just behind the corner, so you can't see me.
Yeah, I'm just
What I will cast though.
Go on.
I'm casting Eagle's Splendor on Maniac. So you have advantage on charisma checks.
Oof, nice. Okay. Alright, well, I'll head up to the door and I'll do a few raps. Drop them 6 beats.
You reach the door, and you reach for the knocker. And just as you're about to grasp the knocker, you hear a voice behind you.
Hold, scum.
You turn around. 2 Duragar suddenly pop out of invisibility. 2 spears, pretty much right at the back of your neck.
Tell your friends to come out.
I heard you. We're here.
One of them spins around to face you, the other one sort of holds his spear.
What's your business here?
We just got into town. There's been a rock slide. We need help. And apparently this whole place is in chaos.
Also,
Yeah,
there's
give me a
trouble with the deep
persuasion.
gnomes.
That's advantage.
With advantage? What is this shit?
Because he got the
This spell you just cast.
Oh, I misheard you,
Eagle's
sorry.
Splendor.
Yep. Alright.
Actually, is
Yeah.
that plus charisma or like...
Yeah.
Anything
Charisma
with certain
checks.
stat,
Yeah.
Yeah, so anything that falls under charisma too, so...
So the guards, they don't shift, but he continues on.
And the deep gnomes, what connection do you have with them?
None, we just got into town.
Give me a
Our
deception.
caravan's overturned. Deception?
Yeah.
I didn't realize we're taking that angle.
Yeah, it kind of narrows his eyes.
Rodolph will kind of step up and say, which isn't to mean we haven't spoken with the deep gnomes. We have spoken with the deep gnomes. We tried to speak with the drow and the Zentirum as well, but they're not open to visitors at the moment. But we've
And the
learned
deep
that
gnomes are an absolute mess, right?
we've learned from talking to the deep gnomes and a few people we have encountered in the main market area that there's a bit of a dispute between the Duragar and the deep gnomes at the moment regarding a gem. Look, we're part of an expedition. Our expedition has been trapped in one of the entranceways by a rock slide. Our primary concern is restoring peace and order to
The galaxy.
this outpost so that we can, help our friends trapped in the rock slide. It seems to us the best way to do that is
I don't care about your expedition. What do you know about the gem?
We know a great deal about the gem. We would like to speak to someone in charge. Maybe we
Give
can
me
help
a-
them and they can help us.
Give me a deception about knowing a great deal about the gem. Or raw charisma, either way. You've got roughly 40 odd, like, kind of hard. If you count the mounts and shit.
These places we've been into, like if they're, like say the deep gnome structure, how many people could that hold, do you think? Like, saving
Well,
others?
in the room itself that you saw, like maybe 100, but
Okay,
there's loads of warrens and all that, like the side tunnels and stuff that go into rooms.
Yeah, I wasn't really sure of the population of like this kind of settlement.
Well,
So,
Just empty space doesn't equal population. Just
Yeah,
saying, but
I didn't see living quarters, so I've got no real bearing, I guess.
Savage.
Oof.
I went with
Savage.
persuasion because I wasn't trying to be deceptive. Like, we do know
Well,
quite a bit about
I
the
said
gem.
either a deception or a raw charisma, but whatever. You rolled a one anyway. At any rate, he kind of looks at you.
Huh. More like you've been sent by the deep gnomes. If you disarm, then I can let you into see Flagon Fist. You know what to do with you.
Disarm after the chaos that we've seen in this city. You must be crazy.
Us
Would you?
Duergar are well known for our sense of order. There's no chaos inside.
I unbuckle my short sword and I just drop it on the ground. And then I take out the dagger in my boot and drop that also. My bow, I take off, drop that, keep my quiver on.
I suggest you follow your friend's lead here.
I'm kind of gonna look at Volvalin and like look at the Juragar and
I'm a
then like look at.
spellcaster, so...
I'm just gonna. My sword thing kind of doesn't look like a sword at all, right?
What
What does it look like again?
You tell me, man.
It looks like a sword, but like if I recall
It has
correctly,
no blade on it.
Oh,
Unless I grab it, yeah.
Right, I thought you were talking about. Yeah, okay. Yeah. So basically, it looks like the hilt of a sword.
Yeah. All right. Well, I've still got my warhammer with me, so I'll drop that. But I'll
The guard
pointedly ignore the hilt.
The guard kind of points his because you'd be wearing it sort of on your hip, right?
Yeah.
He points his spear towards the hilt.
And the sword.
He knows what's up.
Well, it looks like a sword hilt from where he's
Yeah, it looks like a sword
Could
hilt.
have
I'm
been a
like,
broken
look,
sword, but yeah, it's fair enough.
it's purely a sentimental piece. I can't part with it, and it poses no danger.
Give me a deception.
Get the fucking advantage.
It's not great.
Huh. In my experience, anything that's sentimental usually is anything but.
so while this is gonna go on, while this is going on, Roldos like pulling his dagger out, drops it on the ground, pulls his light crossbow out, drops it on the ground. He's like searching his pocket, pulls his wand of magic missiles out, drops it on the ground, puts his staff on the ground, starts pulling his spell books out. Like, how much do I have to
Is this spell book your focus?
Man,
Uh,
you can see it's gold. It's not at all functional as a weapon, and it's very valuable. I can't just leave it on the ground. I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know if someone's gonna steal it.
No. Don't worry about being left on the ground. We'll bring it in with us. Trust me, the safest place is in the Duergar Enclave,
And he gives you like a really sinister grin.
The safest place for a Duergar is in the Duergar Enclave.
well, you'll be no more safer for having that
Trinket, and he does like air quotes.
if it's not a weapon.
Until it suddenly goes missing.
Could we move on, gents?
yeah.
Hold your horses. If this thing, look, even the wizard has a wand. Maybe that thing's a wand. Put it on the pile. We'll bring it in with us.
Alright, I'll just knock it off.
All right. Well, the one that's got like a spear at your neck, he kind of lowers the spear and he gives you a pat down, like a really rough pat down. So do you have like any weapons left on you aside from the hammer and the thing?
No, like a shield. I've got a shield.
Nah, he doesn't
count?
He doesn't care about that.
No,
That's
So
it.
I'm gonna pull my inkwell out, maybe poison, and I'm gonna point it out to the nearest Drugar and say, "Look, I'm not sure about this, but this might be poison.
He kind of looks at you like, what?
And I'm gonna put it with my stuff, and then I'm gonna like keep patting myself down. Pull a scroll out. Scroll of fireball. Uh, is it you
Fallen
on
lets
the
out a deep sigh.
on the pile, or
I guess.
puts it on the pile and then kind of like holds his hands up?
He's taken aback by this. He's very much so taken aback. By the way, your character sheet says it has a scimitar. Do you not have that, or?
I imagine I probably left with a caravan after I got the warhammer and the new sword.
Okay. Alright, yeah, so he pats you down, he kind of gives himself a shrug, and then, like, you know, picks up the spear again.
No funny business, so your friend gets it.
And then he's, you know, the other one kind of walks over to each of you in turn and, like, pats you down. So none of you have, like, any weapons that you haven't put on the pile, right?
No weapons, no.
Okay.
Nope.
Fair enough, because you all got, like, shitloads of weapons on your character
Now,
sheet.
look,
So I'm just going to assume they're all on the pile.
I've just got. I said the short bow, short sword, dagger.
Alright,
That's all
fair
I've got. I've got
Yeah,
my
yeah.
loot, which he has not pointed out. That's my focus. So if he
Right.
doesn't pick it out, then I'll keep it on my back.
He does not point it out.
All right.
and I would have my component pouch, which I'm not going to
Yeah, yeah.
volunteer as a weapon.
Yeah.
But-
Well, they kind of pat you down and sort of like, you know, they hit like, you know, the trinkets and stuff in your pockets and they pull them out kind of a bit roughly, you know, realize it's nothing important, puts it back in your pocket roughly, and then kind of like shoves you to the side a little bit to get to the next person. They go through like zilch and stuff and yeah, basically, eventually, you know, kind of grunts to himself, kind of like pulls the staff out of Zilchin's hands, seeing as how he didn't offer it up. Zilchin gives him like a really rough scowl, and kind of whispers something under his breath, and eventually, yeah, the dwarf that's sort of searching you guys at the back, kind of like stands behind you and kind of like shoves you forward a little bit, and the Duergar at the door picks up the knocker and he lets out like a rhythmic tap, like a double tap and then a single space and then a double tap and then a single space and then a single tap. And
I memorize the rhythm.
yeah, sure. I that's why I said it out loud. Yeah. And so eventually, the doors begin to scrape open with a deep rumble, and it reveals a 40-foot high
Oh
stone room.
jeez.
Yep. So it reveals a 40-foot high, rough-hewn chamber. At least 24 Duergar and a dozen steeders each stand in the chamber, with each steeder bearing heavy packs of merchandise, and the Duergar clearly merchants by their attire and their pack steeders. Steeders, by the way, are those like not giant, but definitely not regular-sized spiders. So they all kind of turn in unison to stare at you with a bit of a mixture of you know, poorly disguised fear and distrust. One of them more richly appointed than the others. He kind of takes a step forward. Hold, whoever you are, we don't want to fight. Yeah, he kind of like walks up to the lot of you and like looks at your gear and all that. Wait, you're not from around here, are you?
And they said that they were
no,
new.
we are not. We're from the surface.
The guard kind of like grumbles.
Yeah, they said that they were new here.
From the surface? Yeah, what business brings you to our happy little town?
We are.
Hey.
We're on an expedition of sorts. We have troops with us. They have been caught in a rock slide and they're blocked off from us. We came here to suss it out and we got involved with the matters that are sort of happening here.
A
We came
military
here to
expedition?
trade and be on our way.
What
Yes.
kind of expedition is this?
Military
Expedition.
expedition, hence the soldiers.
Yeah, it pulls out a notebook.
From Gauntlgrim.
Oh, I
S
see.
representing various surface factions, the Zentirum, the Order of the Gauntlet, the Lord's Alliance, the Emerald Grove,
Emerald
uh,
Enclave. Just FYI.
Close enough.
Enclave,
From
he
Azeroth,
jots,
you may have heard
he
of it.
jots this down like
the
really furiously.
Harpers. We
I
are
see.
representing the vested interest
And
of.
when will this invasion force arrive at Gracklester?
We're not an invasion force.
Certainly not an invasion force.
Give us a
A
persuade.
freedom force.
Wait, this
I
isn't
did not say
Gracklestar, is it? Like this outpost?
This is definitely not Gracklester.
Gracklestar is the place
The
where
Duragar capital.
Yeah, where we were before.
we were before, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So Rodolph's gonna say no. We're not. We're not invading Gracklestar. I'm actually good friends with the captain of the guard at Gracklestar, Captain Blackskull, or at least she was the captain the last time I spoke to her.
You mean the one that was almost executed for treason? Types. He writes more furiously. Give us that old-fashioned persuade roll.
Was
Oh,
oh Jesus!
Your rolls today, man. On point, on point.
Was
oh
that-
shit! Hang on. Fuck!
What?
Fuck! Hang on. I ordered some food before, and
it's here.
oh no, it's not. That's the thing. Hang on. Oh, where did I fucking put it? So like, I have a remote doorknob. I want to doorknob. A remote doorbell. Yeah. And like, I must have knocked it off the power board thing that it sits on, and I basically said in the comments like, "Oh, please ring the doorbell," blah blah blah. But they could have called me. I don't think I've missed any calls.
No, I haven't heard your phone go off.
It is pretty loud. When did they say the ETA was? Sorry to just suddenly be like, "What?"
We're hoping you'll potentially forget about the.
Oh yeah, the current situation. Unlikely, I'm afraid. Yeah, okay. It should be here like another 10-15 minutes according to the text. Right. Sorry, that was an interesting roll. Yeah, you can kind of tell that he's not really bought that at all. And then when you've said the bit about the guard, yes, well,
So sorry. Was she almost executed for treason before or after she saved the king from a succubus?
wait, were you involved in that?
It depends whether being involved in it is a good thing or a bad thing.
Just commit.
Well,
Just say
Yeah.
yes.
I was there. I helped her.
well, here I was thinking that we'd be dealing with some deep gnome spires or some such, and now you're telling me that you're part of the coup attempt. Well, won't this be an interesting discussion with Flagonfist?
Maniac, maybe you should take over talking. I think I've done enough damage.
I'm still concentrating.
I'll just kind of
on-
just be like, don't mind my friend here. I have no idea what happened there. But we
Well, I'll fill
are
you in.
investigating demonic activity in the Underdark and looking for ways to end it.
Ah, yes.
We are here to
Demons, yes. That was the whole thing at the time as well. Yes, what a good excuse. Demons this, demons that. Ah, yes. Well, I'll fill you in, friend. He kind of bobs his eyebrows in like an approximation of air quotes.
You see, your friend here led a coup against the Deep King. This, Black Skull, this captain. Yes, she narrowly avoided suspicions. Of course, she had her own alibis and such. But now that we have confirmation that foreign powers were involved with her, none of her excuses of demonic interferences will hold. Does that about fill you in?
And again, I'm at complete loss what's going on with this. I think you...
Alright, hang on.
I believe you. Kind of like mad sarcasm.
I was not here for what transpired at that point, but the point of the matter is we are here to help. We have many different factions together. That is the truth. And if you don't believe me, please dig out the rocks and find out for yourself. We are only here to help, not to hinder. And this little thing about the gem, we can try and help with that. We do not want the gem. We want the gem to be for the rightful owner. That is all we're currently here for, and to, trade and to help our troops from without the rock, and so forth.
He kind of rocks back on his heels. You want to give a persuade?
That is the point of the matter, nothing else.
Like rocks back and forth on his heels.
23.
Well, truth be told, it's now out of my hands.
What is?
What to do with you? Once Flagonfist is done interrogating, what was her name? Yantha? Well, he can decide what to do with you and your military expedition and your involvement with the Black Skull. Cool.
Not my involvement. That's
As I said,
one matter
that would
at a
be
time.
up to Flagonfist to decide.
Then
Your
why are we
friend here
talking
is
to you?
Your friend here has damned you at least enough that, well, you'll be interrogated and we'll see how it goes from there. Well, Flagonfist will.
Why are we wasting our time with this arsehole? Just
Because
take us to your leader.
My pleasure. Okay, cool. So he leads you around the corner. Kind of the Duragar kind of, make way. The guards are still, like, following behind you. Oh, Jesus, that's not what I wanted to do.
Just go fit.
So he leads you around. There's a sort of a side room here. And he, as you're walking, he kind of, he walks at a stately pace, and he mentions, yes, the Deep Gnome Mage, some important one, I gather, stole a gemstone from Krimgol, our ale merchant. He's a good friend of Guldor Flagonfist, our chief negotiator. And naturally, that meant Flagonfist sent a squad of men to capture this Yantha and bring her back for questioning, which they succeeded in doing. And now, yeah, he like sweeps open the door. You might get to join her. So he opens the door, and just even as the door is opening, you hear like a really gruff voice, clearly yelling at the top of his voice. It kind of reverberates through like the thick stone and all that. For the last time, the gem! Where is the gem that you stole from Krimgol here? Where is it? Okay, so the door fully opens. It's the interior of this small side building is a fairly typical storage warehouse. Typical, that is, if not for the two shelving aisles that have been pushed over to make room in the center of the room for an elaborate yet crudely constructed interrogation setup. A middle-aged gnome woman, straight-jacketed in a robe that's seemingly embedded with glittering jewels and gemstones, hangs by her feet from a rope pulley off-centeredly secured in the ceiling. She hangs above a shallow pit
clearly recently mined out of the ground, judging by all the uncleared rubble and small host of pickaxes leaning against the walls and shelves. And the pit contains a Zorn, which looks like this. One of you have encountered them in Blingdenstone, and Volan, you would at least be somewhat familiar with their existence.
Yeah.
So basically, Zorns are these monsters that, or like creatures rather, that subside on like minerals, as in like gemstones. Like they think gemstones are like a particularly delicious treat. They eat, granite and stuff like that. So this Zorn kind of like tries to jump up, desperately trying to jump up and take a bite out of Yantha, or more likely you quickly realize the gemstones that she's wrapped in. And the rope leads to on the other side, it leads to a Duragar in ornate battle plate armor, standing next to another Duragar dressed in the finery typical of a well-to-do merchant, albeit bearing some dark brown stains here and there. Upon hearing the door sort of like crunch open, the Duragar in battle plate turns to face you. The guards kind of like shove you in, so I'll move you in just a bit. And kind of like slams, the two guards slam the door behind you and the merchant Duragar. I'll probably shove everything over one so that it's not so cramped. Okay. Yeah, he turns to regard you, but even as he turns to regard you, Yantha, the gnome that you've quickly realized is Yantha, hanging upside down, is just babbling out. Well, you see, I was watering a fungal garden with a spell when that no good drow walked past, and, I felt kind of funny, so the drow must have cast a charm spell on me. Yeah, and made me lead him into my office, and he found the gem there, even though I never had it to begin with, and then he must have walked me back to where we started and cast another spell. It's the truth, I swear.
So I check.
Yeah, by all means.
Oh.
Basically, you can tell that she's just a rambling lie, like just, like a desperate kind of like rambling lie.
Okay. I'm gonna message that to everyone. No
Are you gonna sleight of hand there?
Oh, shit. Yeah, I forgot fucking that's the thing. I thought I could just do it with my head. Do I have to make... Yeah, no.
We've been kind of escorted in, so...
Yeah, I don't want to make out like I can still cast spells, so I won't then, in that case.
Okay. Alright. The Duragar in Battleplate hands the rope to, the more merchant-looking guy behind him. Who dares intrude in Duragar territory?
Well,
He kind of faces you guys.
Rodolph goes to speak, but then kind of like stops.
He's like I said, heavily armored, and he's impressively imposing, even doubly so considering he's not using his size and large abilities, and he's got like a brutal looking axe that's sort of just like hanging off a loop on the side of his breastplate. It's like a brutal looking axe. Kind of like gets up up in your faces. Well,
we've come to seek your aid. We're from a caravan just outside of town.
Yeah, he turns to the merchant that was talking to you earlier. No, I believe they're head of a military expedition. And he kind of gives you guys like a wink. Military expedition? Yeah! What do they have to do with what's going on here? The merchant kind of shrugs. Merchant kind of speaks up again. But they did mention that they were part of what was going on during the coup and Captain
holds his hand up.
Blackstone.
Excuse me, hang on. Just let me. Sorry, I was there. Nobody else in the expedition was. It was I was the only person in Grackle Star at that point in time. Just so we're very clear. Thank you.
I'm sure your compatriots would be happy to know that they've been damned by association rather than something else then.
If I might, Your Majesty, we came here to trade. That's all. We became involved in what's happening here. We heard something about a gem. We want to find out who the actual owner is and help that out so we can resolve the conflict and actually get our trading on board. We believe this may actually be your gem, and we can find that for you if you possibly let her live and let us go. Otherwise, I'm not really sure we can help get your gem back.
Give me a raw charisma.
Raw charisma. Sorry. It's a 17.
You don't look like the merchant type, and at the head of a military expedition, they're usually not big on trading at Mantle Dareth. In fact, how did you find this place? It's a secret city.
If I might, the Zentirum, a part of the military expedition, they brought us here so we could converse with the Zentirum leadership in the city, pick up some more supplies, and continue on
and be on our way.
into the Underdark.
He kind of like raises his palms upwards.
I don't see any Zentirum with you. Would they not be here if you were to visit their half of the Enclave?
Well, there's been a rock slide just outside of town.
How convenient.
Well, you could go and look.
It's about 200 feet or so from the north entrance.
Why,
But
yes.
we agree, it is mighty convenient. We're very suspicious on it, and we're very worried for the rest of our caravan.
You have many
Why,
ships,
yes.
possibly send a scout out and check.
Draw us out of the Enclave
No,
and
like a
get
single-
cut down.
A single
Like
scout.
like
not-
our like a
You
scout.
wouldn't send everyone out, would you? No one would do that.
Yeah, he kind of paces.
There may be time for that, if I deem your story worth even countenancing.
This guy.
He kind of gestures at Grimgol, and Grimgol kind of like lets Yantha down like another inch.
So,
Can I just like before we continue on, can I get a sense for like how unhinged this guy is, like whether
Yes.
Oh,
Ooh.
I'm just not gonna do anything anymore.
Wouldn't that be an insight for that sort of thing? Anyway,
I guess it would
it's
perception
wisdom
for
anyway.
like
But, yeah.
physical manifestations. Like perception would be along the lines of like, oh, he's got a
Physical
facial
behavior
tick,
sort of
or
thing.
he's kind of spitting out of his mouth. Yeah, exactly, or he's kind of like shaking, or anything physical like that, I suppose. Yeah, so he starts to sort of pace a little bit.
right. So what is your connection with Grimgol's gem here?
And he kind of gestures towards Grimgol, and Grimgol is like staring at you guys with like sort of a manic look, even as he kind of like bobs Yantha up and down, like a little teeny trickle of like dust like falls out of the ceiling, like down the rope as he kind of like
Ow.
judders the rope up and down.
Our connection-
Shockingly
Sorry.
little, actually.
Our connection only started about an hour and a half ago, so not long. It's not a big connection. We just heard of it, and
We just keep getting told of it in this town. We trying to get some help for our caravan, and just everyone seems to be screaming about this gem. What makes it so important, anyway?
Kind of strokes his beard.
You tell me first, where is it? Do you know where it is? Any information?
The last we heard, a gargoyle had it.
Gargoyle? How did the gargoyle come across Yantha?
Not across Yantha per se. I think it came across another deep gnome.
But Yantha had the gem, not some other deep gnome.
So yes, hello, Rodolph. In the interest of a new friendship and perhaps working
Enough with the
together.
pleasantries.
So
Spit it out.
Yantha's assistant. We bumped into Yantha's assistant while we were on our way to speak to the Zentirum, and the assistant was babbling about having lost the gem. And when we questioned this assistant as to what gem he was talking about, he said that one of the drow gargoyles had taken the gem from him, and that is, as far as we know, the current location of the gem.
You may live throughout this yet.
He turns back to the not the stained merchant with the robe, but the one that greeted you. He kind of nods to him.
Get all the guards, all of them. Get out there and search for this gargoyle. No doubt the drow are behind this.
The merchant like ducks out through the door and after a sort of a crisp nod, and basically fucks off. He slams the door behind them. He turns back to you guys. Kind of like licks his lips.
So, the surface dwellers think they can sneak in outsiders to Mantle Down.
We
dirty
weren't
work.
sneaking.
Maybe I should try putting one of you in that robe.
Robe.
With all
Yeah.
the gems in front of the other thing.
Oh, the gem thing. Right. We just gave you a lead on your gem. Why would you do that to us?
And what of your involvement during the coup?
And he kind of like sticks out like a fat armored finger at you, rather painfully at your chest, Roldo.
Well, see, while I was there, we were taken before the king, and it became obvious that the king's advisor was a succubus and was subverting the mental and physical health of your king. We fought the succubus and managed to scare it away. Unfortunately, we did not kill the succubus. After that, well, truth be told, me and my friends fled the city because, well, nobody
Fled the
really
law.
seemed.
Fled the
Nobody.
guards. Fled the entire city watch without help, I might add. Supposedly, huh? Or are you telling me that Black Skull didn't arrange to sneak you out of the city?
No, actually, we were, with some friends, a Quagga. We met a very nice drow lady.
Drow. Nice. Huh. Mutually exclusive.
I forget who else some deep gnomes.
Get to the point.
Well, we just fled the city. The city was in a bit of chaos at the time, and we just
The city had armed guards at every gate, in every tunnel, and on the streets. How did you sneak out of one of the most secure cities in the Thunderdog?
I think we hid in a caravan.
Wait, you didn't you get captured again by? Oh no, there's like the drow and the different tunnels, and you took the tunnel systems out, right?
Yeah, we
Did they
got
split?
caught. We didn't get caught by drows. Like, we were on the caravan, and then the caravan got attacked by the drow.
You
So that
guys
was-
just met up. Basically, the caravan leader, what's her name? I forget.
I
Bribed...
remember how it happened. I'm just not saying how. It
Yeah,
happened.
I'm saying it for the sake of Ben, who wasn't here.
Okay.
Yep.
Sorry. Yeah. So long story short, they were working for this caravan master, and basically they wanted a way to get to Blingdenstone And the caravan master was more than happy to do that if they helped her out. And it just so happened that when they finished helping her out, all this stuff was going on. So basically, the caravan master bribed the guards to sort of let them through without like an inspection. I guess the implication is that they didn't, like, the guards weren't bribed to sneak people out, but were snuck, well, bribed to keep like the cargo.
Relax. Yeah.
The cargo, yeah, exactly, right. Because it was like sort of valuable, maybe what's the word?
Raw gemstones and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, but
Yeah.
what's the word when you're not allowed to trade something?
Contraband.
Embargo. It's under like the under embargo or whatever.
There's something in
The-
barrels as well
Yeah.
that we took.
Sure, weapons. There were weapons.
Yeah.
Like shitloads of Duragar weapons.
I think there
Uh,
was some sort of ale or something like that. Like, because the barrel split and it went everywhere because the wagon got fucked up. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Right. So he kind of stares you down.
You just snuck out with, what was it? A Quaggoth and deep gnomes and an entire party by the sounds of it. Just walked out the front gates, did you? Black Skull had nothing to do with getting you out, huh?
Well, you see, we were hiding in the caravan. The caravan. Some money crossed hands at the gates. From the hands of the caravan master.
Ah, bribery and another charge to add.
Sure.
Sure. Why not? I'm pretty sure we were smuggling contraband as well. So like, But look, I'm here trying to be helpful to you at the moment to resolve your situation. Like, can't we deal with that stuff later?
I think you should be more concerned with your situation, old man. I'll make you a deal. You're in a lot of trouble, and your military expedition, well, let's say it could have a Duragar target painted on its back. But I can make that go away.
He
Well-
turns to Grimgol, who has like a kind of like a manic look on his face.
If that
You
was our
see-
intent, do you think we
You-
waltz in here with open arms and just disarming as well? And just come in
I've seen
here?
stupider things being done
Do
by
we look stupid?
smarter people. Yes.
And he kind of like puffs out his chest, kind of points at all his weapons, point at you guys, sort of like being disarmed.
You've walked right into, well, an armed camp full of people who you've wronged, who you've broken the laws of, with nary a weapon to defend yourself. But enough. If you want to get out of here alive, and to save your deep gnome friend here, well, I can arrange that. If you bring me the gem, I can make sure that your expedition gets out alive instead of being, well, buried alive further. Having Druga army on both sides of them waiting for them. Wouldn't you say that would be preferable?
That sounds good to me. Like, we'd be happy to go retrieve your gem for you.
That's what
Perhaps-
we're going to do anyway, possibly.
Yeah, that's what we came here to do.
Yeah, that's why we're not stupid. We're here. Hello.
Perhaps if you hold off feeding Yantha there to that monster thing in the pit for a while, and we'll go see what we can do about getting this this gem back for you, and everything will be a-okay.
Well, very good.
Oh, whoops! I was using the wrong token this whole time. Whoops. That's the thing.
Very good. But first, some collateral.
He kind of gestures to Grimgol rather, and he ties the rope to a sort of half overturned
shelf. Grimgold walks over, and he starts to pat you guys down for basically everything you've got. Every pocket, everything gets turned out, every gold. He really tries to pat you guys down. So, if you guys are going to try and sleight of hand keep something, now's your time to try and to conceal it.
I don't think I had much.
I got nothing really worth sleight of handing.
Uh,
I want this shit back, but they can have it for now.
I'll try and keep my holy symbol, I guess.
Basically, as he pats you down, he doesn't even bat an eyelid at that.
Right. Okay.
Same thing for my component pouch, I assume.
He looks in it, rummages around in it, and then zips it back up.
Okay.
Also, your
We're just
component
talking about
pouch-
like all that gold and valuable stuff. Is it?
D&D has
Basically, yeah.
Wait,
Pardon me?
D&D has zips? He said he zips it back up.
Oh, sorry, he doesn't
Pencil
zip
case.
it. My apology. He
Pencil case
ties it
component-
back up.
component
Yeah.
patch.
He ties
Pulls
it
the
back
drawstring.
up.
I got it, it's good.
Sorry.
No, zips are a arcane.
Let's take off my Levi's, 1 sec.
By the way, I don't call them like USB sticks, jump drives, whatever. No, they're called zip diskettes.
Sure. Okay. Well, does he take anything from us?
So he literally strips every gold, everything that you've got on your like equipment sheets, bar, your component pouches, spell books, anything that you reasonably need to fight.
Well, that would be my loot.
He tries to take the loot off you.
He does?
Yeah, he kind of like puts a hand around its neck and just sort of tries to yank it from you.
Listen, this is not just an instrument. It does play quite nicely, but I need this to cast my spells, and I need this to get your gem back. Relinquish.
What kind of a spellcaster are you?
I am a bard.
A bard. You should stick to alehouses and not fighting. He kind of nods to Grimgold though, and he like shoves the loot back into your chest.
Oh, I so want to just cast confusion on this entire room. I know. Then we could just take her and get the fuck out of here.
I've probably spent about the last 15 minutes going, I want to kill these people.
You can't fireball in here. We're in here.
Fireball. Fireball.
Oh man, so tempted.
Just cast Lama's tiny hut. Make it unfurl inside this tiny room.
Crush everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, after literally putting all of your valuables in a nice tidy pile, he opens the door, scrapes it open, like not even scrapes it open, he just slams it open with his like meaty like biceps, and kind of like gestures with his head for you guys to file out. So assuming you guys do that, I'll move you guys back out.
Yeah.
He walks over to like the pile of like weapons and stuff, and basically, you know, waves at it and expects you guys to sort of arm up.
Uh-huh.
And don't try anything funny.
Basically, just grab my stuff and leave.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I put my belt back on with my short sword, and pick up my dagger, give a little, and just polish it a little bit, put it back in my boot.
Yeah, he gives you sort of like a kind of a grin that has a couple of teeth missing. Good luck, for your own sake. And he slams the door behind him. You hear like a muffled on the other side of the door.
Well, that was fun. So are we just going to steal the gem from where we saw it before? You know, the other black gem, the only other one we've seen.
Well, either
I
that or
want
we
to keep
could-
walking.
We could head back and see if the meetings happened.
Yeah, you should be near in contact with your cat now, right?
Yeah, sort of.
Yes.
Nope.
Assuming you walk over.
Yeah, if we just keep walking, and then when I'm close enough, I'll, get a status report.
Alright, so essentially, your cat kind of reports that, like, someone from the Zentirum Enclave, the actual building, not the tent outside or anything, kind of, like, went outside for a moment, bowed, like, really profusely towards the Drow diplomat, or, like, chief negotiator. The chief negotiator was clearly impatient, and then the Zentirum guy, like, hurried back behind the doors.
I relay that information to the rest of the party.
Sure.
And then okay. So they're just kind of still sitting there.
At this point, old mate Zilchin kind of pipes up.
Then perhaps the meeting is about to begin.
Well, perhaps we should head over there and try and sneak up, see what's going on.
Should
I
I
would be cautious.
cast invisibility?
You never know.
You want to cast invisibility?
I'm asking. Do you reckon it's a good idea?
Probably.
I can do it on 3 of us.
How long does it last?
Until I take it off, or you cast a spell or attack or something, or you get
Doesn't it eventually run out, like after an hour or something?
Yeah. So it's hang on, I'll just. So if I do that, and cast it at 4. Yeah, 1 hour concentration.
Okay.
You cast a spell using a spell slot or 3 at a level higher, you can target 1 additional creature for each slot level above second. So that means I could do myself, do Rodolph and Maniac. The other guy was probably just to wait.
Yep.
I'll just let the other guy. What's his name again?
Zilchin Collectin.
Zilchin, I'm going to cast invisibility. My power is not strong enough to do you as well, so we can report back after we're done. Sound good?
Just, I think, especially if Rian has to be right back, I think this would be a good time to call it since it's 10 o'clock.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, fair enough. Oh, yeah.
Because otherwise it's going to get a
Invisibility.
bit involved, and then it's going to be
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
this
it
isn't
makes
such a good
sense.
time to call it.
Well, my spell's there, so we at least know what we're about to do.
Mm.
Sure.
Alright.
I'll take off my plate mail too.